Ooh. So calming. So nice. Very calming sounds. Sounds like a wonderful afternoon happening. Some sunshine, some fun, some laughter, memories being made. Doesn't it sound like that, huh? Ooh. Well, let's make our way over. Make our way over. How's it going, chat? Yeah. How we doing? How we feeling? Are we feeling good? I hope so. A lot of crazy stuff happening out there, so the hope is we are feeling all right. Yeah, it's too damn hot. It's true. Too damn hot indeed. It's already in the triple digits out here, and we do not like it. How's it going? Other than that, chat, doing all right? I hope we are. We have ourselves a great guest today. Pretty cool. We got ourselves a pretty cool guest here. They created the visual identity of MASH FGC, which is a prominent Guilty Gear Strive community organization. They've done graphics all throughout FGC in general, mostly through Guilty Gear. It seems created all kinds of banners and done a lot of graphic design work all over the place. And the other thing is they even got a chance to work for CEO. It's pretty awesome. That's pretty have. We have Calico here. So I'm glad you're all over here. It's too damn humid. Ooh, yeah, we know humid sucks as well. We have a chance. Calico. So we have a chance to sit down and speak with them. And hopefully we get to learn. We get to learn about their journey. And let's see if they are ready for camera. Let's rock. That's what I see in the chat over here. Let me start the video call. I'm going to pop this out. We're going to pop out and show them.
Excellent.
All right, let's change that to a grid view. How you doing?
Doing quite all right. How are you today?
I'm doing relatively okay.
Fair enough. That's something. I love that.
Exactly. Let's allow everyone to see where we are, what we're doing. Let's head over because I think you're here and ready.
Yes, look at that.
Hey,
hello.
Chad, how's it going? You can see. There we are. How you feeling? How you feeling today?
I'm doing solid. I literally just got off of work maybe like an hour ago or so, and I don't know. I'm chilling. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I saw that you had almost immediately, nearly on the dot, made it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I literally put my stuff down, sat at my computer, turned on my PC, got ready, settled in, got some water. I had to be on it. I was so quick about it.
Hey, you have a guest behind you.
That's my partner. Yes. Our desks here were literally side by side. So
see the whole thing of having adjoining work desks, that's what we have right here set up in at my place. This is the back corner over here, but just off camera that way is I can't even say an L desk. It's like a U desk that I made to take off the other half of this room so my fiance can have all of her creative work stuff happening, three kinds of printers, cutters, her computer, the whole, literally half of the room is just all crafting area.
Amazing. Love that. Incredible.
Yeah, I made all of her tables over there and workbenches here. The tables I have right here, I actually made them myself too.
Sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I gotta take those years of wood shop and make them useful somehow.
That's so true. Yeah.
I was like, some of the few physical skills that I learned in high school that I still use all the time was all the stuff that I did in wood shop.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so sick.
If it wasn't gonna happen, I mean, I'd rather spend like $200 on raw material in this instance and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables that are like 8 feet apiece.
Oh yeah, no, of course. And then you know that it's gonna last because you made it. It's by your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
What can go wrong? Nothing.
Well, I mean, I can hurt myself during that time frame, but I didn't, so I think that's okay.
At least there's that.
Oh, hold on. I realized chat isn't showing up on here properly. Where'd you go? That's not it. Is that the right one? Oh no, that's not supposed to be there. Why did I double? Oh no. There we go. And okay, there we go. Now chat's at the bottom. Hello, everybody, fellow feathers, and how's it going? I'm Straight Edge, and we are here with our guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, hello, good evening. My name is Calico. I used to be Calico's Place, recently rebranded online as Street Cat Collective. I am an independent freelance graphic designer. I mostly work in a lot of FGC spaces, but starting to break out a little bit of the FGC here with some small projects now and again. But I'm here and I'm excited to do it. I'm ready to rock.
Let's rock. I kind of want to start like with the place where I like to talk to people when it comes to like finding out like where they kind of like started their journey to kind of get to the place that you're at, because when you look at like where you were when you started versus where you are now, sometimes it's good to just take stock in the fact that like you've been on some kind of journey like this. And all that to kind of start with where did you get your beginning, not just graphic design, but like with the FGC in general, or which actually came first? Was it graphic design or FGC? And where was that kind of like those budding interests coming from?
That's an interesting story. This kind of goes like a little bit hand in hand almost, as a matter of fact. I guess realistically, starting out is actually probably my graphic design journey, right? So I've been drawing since, let's see, 2018, roughly about. I wanted to be an illustrator and specifically an animator for forever, right? I started out as a kid, just drawing like silly Pokemon and stuff like that. Really started taking it seriously in 2018, starting to like try to develop a style, studying fundamentals, that kind of stuff. Did that for a handful of years, finished out high school, developed a little like art portfolio for myself. In 2020, finishing high school, going out to college, I was still like mostly an illustrator. What's cool about that is they're like, oh, despite these hard times, we're just going to be in online classes for 2 to 3 weeks just to make sure that everyone's like good, healthy. There's no like COVID like running a mile at the student base. And then from there, we'll have fully in-person classes. Let me tell you,
2-3 weeks. Yeah,
that whole year, that whole year, I sat on my laptop in my dorm doing all virtual classes that whole time. It wasn't like necessarily uninspiring. Like I was still able to create, but it wasn't the kind of environment that I was looking for, you know? The whole time still doing illustration, everything else. After that, I was like, all right, my financial like order like isn't really set. Don't kind of have the money to do another year. Let me take a gap year. Let me kind of like figure myself out, get my money figured out, see what I want to do. And from there, I actually moved in with my partner in Southern Florida because my parents were like, hey, we'll come get you from Wisconsin. But the thing is, you have to pay us back for the trip. And I'm like, no.
Ooh.
So my partner was like, hey, just come live with me. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. Why not? And so we've been living together since like late like 2021.
Mm,
In 2022, I had a nonprofit like organization. It was an LGBT like nonprofit. They reached
mm-hmm,
out to me and they're like, "Hey, we really like some of your artwork. Like, are you familiar with any sort of like, design and that sort of thing?" And me kind of lying through my teeth, I'm like, "Yeah, totally. How hard can this be?" And they're like, "Great. We need a graphic tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, so I have less than a 24-hour turnaround. Understood." And so I literally like opened up my clip studio. I workshopped like 3 or 4 different things. I sent them over and they're like, "Great, we'll take this rendition." And I'm like, "Awesome. That works." Completely bullshitting. Not gonna
yep.
lie. And from there, it was totally downhill. I've been all self-taught, been working graphic design since 2022.
Mm,
Also, in that same year, I had like a little group of friends through my job that I was working at Best Buy, and they were all really into Dragon Ball Fighters, as a matter of
mm,
fact.
hell
And so,
yeah.
of course, it got to a point, we're like fighting each other, we're playing against each other, competing against each other. And then, of course, you know how it is with like friend games. You're like, "All right, I'm pretty hot shit at this game. I can beat my
Yeah.
friends. Let me go like play in a tournament, actually." And my first ever tournament was Wumpa Warriors,
Mm,
run by, I believe, Khalil over at Paragon now.
mm.
Um, my first ever tournament set, I got looped by a base Vegeta, and then I never touched the game ever
Ever
again.
again?
And that was it. I was done. Never touched the game again. I was like, "All right, that's clearly I was not meant for this. Not for me."
That wasn't your
I,
place at the moment.
Yep, I'm like, "All right, sounds good." And then like in the interim, I just like kept kind of creating graphics with like a business contract with this LGBT nonprofit.
Hmm.
Stopped working with them after like a year and a half because they just kind of didn't need me anymore, and that's fine.
Hmm.
I did some small time work for like a couple local businesses. There's actually some small time companies out there like with my visual branding that I made for them out in Sarasota, Florida, which is pretty cool.
Hey.
Kind of continuing on like the FGC journey, like 2023, 2024 rolls around.
Mm,
Street Fighter 6 enters its beta, its open beta,
mm,
right? I had some pals who were like just big fighting game fans. They like will play like Killer Instincts together, Street Fighter 6, Tekken together. I was like, "Hey, the Street Fighter 6 beta is open. Like, are you guys playing?" And they're like, No, not really." And I'm like, "Okay, well, still the game kind of looks cool, so let me like take a glance at it." I played a little bit in the beta, played like a little bit of Ken, had no idea what I was doing. But I don't know, for some reason the game just like really just caught me.
mm,
It just really like lit a spark for me. And I've actually tweeted about this story too. During like the open beta time, I would just went like searching just on YouTube, like Street Fighter 6 open beta, right? I came across my absolute goat Maximilian dude on YouTube at the time.
as one
He had
does.
put out yeah, of course. He had put out a couple of videos about the beta. I binged all of them as they
Mm,
came out, right? I thought Street Fighter was so sick, thought it was awesome. And then what ended up happening, because I was interested in the game, I watched Max stream Evo 2023, right?
mm.
And from there, it was the game over. It was so like inspired, like even just like sitting here at home, I felt that energy,
Yeah, yeah,
just that
yeah.
like big, like super major, just that FGC energy, watching him like watch Evo. And after Evo finished up, I literally went on Xbox Game Pass and I downloaded the first fighting game that I saw, and that was Guilty Gear
Guilty
Strive.
Gear.
And I've
Yeah.
been playing ever since.
That's pretty awesome. It's funny how there's always a nexus point for someone like relatively later on in life of who that is or what the event is that gets people into a fighting game and truly into the fighting game community. And it's funny that a common one will be Maximilian, right? Seeing Evo and all that jazz, and like for someone like me, like getting into it through Smash Brothers really late in my adulthood, right? I got into it through Smash Ultimate in like 2018, and like I played bless you. Bless you. I played like 64 as a kid, right? So like I've seen it happen. I've seen it growing up. I've played at least a little bit in some form or fashion, like at the house with family members, with everything except for Smash 4. So like to be, you know, in my mid to late 20s to see, you know, how like a scene like this can really like expand and have its level of depth relatively late in life, and to see like, oh, there's a whole lot here like that I had a vague awareness of that was what I truly really had no idea about, right? So it's fun to see that. And the other thing that I was going to say is you seem to have stumbled your way into graphic design the same way every single person I've heard of on any podcast stumbled into graphic design by saying, I wanted to do animation. Let me do this. Wait, I'm doing this now?
So what's really funny is that a couple months into my Guilty Gear career, I stumbled across this YouTuber named It's Seth, and he had put out a video titled "How Good Can I Get a Guilty Gear in 24 Hours?" And I watched that video and I thought it was super excellent. And I
Yeah.
noticed in his like little description that he had a community Discord. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll join that. Why not? A couple months go by in that community Discord. I'm chatting with people, getting to know folks, playing like casual games and everything else. And just like I kind of out of nowhere, I was just like talking about my art career and like what I had done in the past. And I had like linked my portfolio. And I had a user reach out to me and they're like, hey, I have this brand new lever list that I just bought that I need artwork for. Like, would
Ooh.
you be interested? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I would be. Hello. And it turns out it was Bochi the Rock themed, which was very, very cool. Looking back on it now, there's so many things that I would do differently, but it still has like a very special place in my heart just because that was like the beginning.
Yeah.
That was really great. I made that same user like a Discord banner at the time. It just kind of ramped up into doing like more and more projects as I was getting more and more serious about like Guilty Gear. I joined, you know, the band community, Bracket About Nothing. They're super, super awesome. I joined their like beginner bracket. And I kind of just like started chatting with folks there, everything else. It kind of just started to ramp up, you know, at one point during like one of their beginner brackets after I had graduated, I was just like messing with just like an idea of like a visual rebrand. And I was just like, oh, you know, I made this like while I was sitting in the stream, just like listening and watching. And then they were like, this is really good. Do you like want to redo some of our stream elements? And I'm like, yeah, why not? That'd be great. I'd be honored.
Always.
So even now, like going onto their stream, you can still see a lot of my work there, which is super awesome. I've done work with them. I've done work with OEG. I've done work with MASH. I've done work with Golden Order, if anybody remembers that one. I've done work with a whole lot of people, as a matter of fact. I have a list somewhere, but I keep tabs on everybody. But I've done work with a lot of organizations and a lot of players, which is super awesome.
It also seems like it's just like in a like really short period of time, like the from like just the span of really kind of just like 2-ish, 3-ish years, really, from like the first time you did one thing for someone and the entire portfolio that you've now created for yourself in that really short time frame, for a lot of different types of design elements for different kinds of purposes, right? Because one thing, like when people think about, like, don't think about when they don't think about design and how it integrates into different parts of the community, it's like, well, someone has to make stream graphics, someone has to make choices for where the visual direction of everything, understanding why a visual texture on a piece of lettering looks the way it does, and how it ties in with the overall theme of the overall branding, and you know, those tiny little things. Like, hell, I'm pretty sure there's someone who painstakes over like badges, right? And understanding how a badge would look like and how to work within that economy of space to make it useful. And it's one of those things that like, there's a lot of people who do that and people have no idea about it, because it's, for some people, it's just like a throwaway thing of like, I don't have to think about it. Right.
What I think it is too is like, yeah, like especially in these past 2 years, my growth just both like as a player and as an artist, that's just exponentially just exploded, you know. And I'm incredibly lucky and I'm incredibly grateful that that's happened. I think it's on like not even to like self brag here. I think it's honestly just because there isn't a lot of people in the space just doing what I do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
of course, you already had artists out there, like just to name a few, you got like Solemnitas, Skara, Shoji, people like that. But they're like pretty like contracted, let's say, to like, of course, Solomnitas used to be like the head of design over at New Head and everything else. Scar
Mm-hmm.
was for them too for a while. Shoji, like, working over at OBG and everything like that. I just don't think people had the realization that like, hey, you can just go ask them to go help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I was pretty freelance the whole time. I just like coming across players and like making friends. I'm like, hey, like I noticed like you have this bracket coming up or you have this tournament that you guys are trying to put together. Like, do you guys need anything for that? I think it was mostly just like being able to ask around and just know the people in the community. And I have the type of creative brainworms that like whenever I focus on a project, I can't stop until it's done, you
Yeah.
know, or at least in a good place where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And so having these like super quick turnaround times just because I would get so excited about projects, I think really helped me too, just by spreading like, word of mouth. People being like, oh, I worked with Calico, they did a great job. You can literally go see it on like the Start GG page or a Twitch page or something like that. And people being able to see the work, I feel like I just got incredibly lucky in that sense.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is like in FGC spaces, it's a very like there's so many parts of it where it is extremely community based. It's now like one of those things where have you talked to someone and do they vibe with you enough and can you produce something that they're willing to stick their neck out for? And that's where a lot of it comes from. There's a little bit of downside to that, obviously, because eventually people turn favorites. But the idea is like there's a whole lot of people will be able to get a whole lot of chance to do a whole lot of different kinds of things that they wouldn't be able to if it was a more traditional form of business or a traditional form of business environment, right? Like you can't just call up IKEA. It's like, hey, can I just like do a thing for you? And like they'll be like, get out of here. Who are you? Right? Yeah. Exactly. Like we in this type of environment can and have that ability where we can just take a chance and just say, hey, I have a thing and I really like this thing. I made this thing for your stream. Hey, I made this thumbnail for you for your thing. And like, I think this could work for something or whatever. And it's very much a community driven form of business orientation that like not a lot of places can really work on that type of scale. Right. Like, a fun thing that I've heard from a whole lot of different kinds of people, especially like in like the YouTube streamer content creator thing, is they find editors because people in their discourse like, hey, I made a fan edit of this stream moment and I thought it was pretty funny. And next thing you know, they become the editors or they get recommended to become the editor for whoever other person. And then that's where their career starts from. And having that kind of same like DNA can really help a career push really fast. And if you want to like pivot by the time it's like, well, now time to join regular corporate America, you have all of this giant list of different assets to prove your worth on a corporate level to people. Yeah. Right.
And even just like the reverse of that is super true too. Just because like just in my professional career, in corporate America, I've done customer service my whole life so far, and so having that ability to know how to like talk to people professionally in that sort of sense and having that like customer service know-how essentially is really helpful too, because then you can make a connection with people a lot quicker instead of it being like an awkward interaction, where you try to like feel each other out. Be like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks. I know that you need A, B, and C. I can provide X, Y, Z. Let's do it.
Certainly. I think the other thing too is you having existing in the real world. Real world experience helps out a lot, right? Because we're in this also simultaneously in this space where you can have an entire career and not know what it's like to be a regular ass person.
I always joke. I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the few employed Strive players, baby. Let's go.
One of the only people that know what it's like to have taxes take out and know how to file.
Precisely. Exactly.
Knowing the difference between a W-2 and a 1099.
Yeah, precisely. So true.
Oh, listen, man, I really want to know what it's like for you people to not know what it's like for open enrollment because you're still under your parents' insurance.
Seriously, no kidding, honestly.
Oh, good luck with that now, especially now that there's massive cuts to Medicaid. We're not going to get into that though. Oh. So you kind of get this like glimpse of like, hey, people like start working with me. You kind of now have this like exposure to the fact that people are valuing your skills. What I want to know is what was kind of like the first either project or set of projects or long-term partnerships that you had with, or any kind of partnership that you had that kind of like showed that I think I'm really truly making progress in doing these kinds of designs and projects for people, and people are kind of seeking me out and I'm getting additional validation through my past works. Like who's kind of like either that first clientele, that first organization that kind of say, hey, you came recommended, or hey, you want to work with us, we actually heard about you, what can you present to us? Like what was been those kinds of moments, and what was kind of like that first experience seeing that, and who was it and what did you end up doing for them?
Yeah, for sure. There's actually a couple of different examples of this kind of like, I was like sort of like markers throughout my career, you know. The first one was actually working with Festival, who is a Nine Moons player, and he's a fellow Axel bro. We had like, you like randomly fought each other in tower, and I like hit him up on Twitter afterwards. I'm like, hey, you know, some of the stuff that you were doing was super cool. Totally stealing some of your tech, by the way. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, like that was super fun, you know, thanks. And he's like, hey, I'm like in need of like a Twitter banner right now. Like, is that a project that you'd be interested in? I'm like, yeah, naturally. And I think if I'm sure, I think working with Festival is actually my first ever like Twitter banner project, which has become, you know, one of my more like, you know, well-known things that I do, especially in the gear community. And just like having be like, wow, this dude's on Nine Moons, the team, and they recognized me. That's awesome. I thought that was super sick. Looking a little bit more like recently, actually, I would say working with the Wild Ride team, as a matter of fact, because I've built such a successful like business relationship with those folks over there because they started not that long ago, maybe close to, I don't know, 6 months ish, roughly about, a little less. They were just kind of like doing their own little thing. They had some fun like MS Paint stuff slapped together, which is charming in its own right, of course. But they reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, we just want like a full like visual rebrand. Do you want to help us?" And I was so down for that project. And being able to just like work with them back and forth and be able to talk about like what they were looking for, what they wanted. I honestly think that Wild Ride, like some of their visual stuff, is actually some of my best work that I've put out, genuinely. I like, you know, and I'm working with them on a fun little secret projects right now that hasn't been announced yet. You know, just a fun little tease. We got something in the works currently.
No leaks. Despite the fact that like people leak things, people leak things here all the time. Like the screwless cover or the screwless panel gram controller was leaked on here. The fact that Granola Arcade was working on the Plateau, which is their own platform fighter leverless, got leaked on here. All kinds of weird things leaked on here. I think it's kind of funny. You don't have to. I'm not saying they say no gotcha journalism. I'm just telling you that's crazy how that happened.
Yeah, I would need approval from the boss man for that. There you go. little project in the works that we got going on right now.
It's been like 8 months. What?
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Actually, yeah. Actually, like speaking of granola, working with Ben
Please don't
too,
leak.
with the
Don't
granola
worry.
team. Yeah, no, we're good. Medi, I've got you. It's okay. So, like, working with like granola was a super huge project.
Yeah.
Actually, as well, because working with granola, I like to make the joke that technically I'm one layer away from working with Sajam at one point.
True.
Yeah, because granola made the controllers for the Sage M Slam. I believe the first
Yeah.
one. I was like, so technically,
Like
I was a
right
layer
he-
away from working
like,
with Sage M.
On this part right here is where he had the what's it called, the basketball character. I forgot the character's name.
Yes,
That design. Wait, why can't the? Oh, there you go. My life is falling
that
apart.
was a super fun one. Oh, same. Feel that. That was a really great project, especially as well. Like being able to have that promotion for the controller at the time, the camp kit. Like being able to literally build your own controller out of the packaging that your controller comes in. It's such a cool idea. I think genuinely, and like having that concept was just so awesome.
It's funny because I think part of the reason why I even got that was he reached out to me because I made my own platform leverless out of cardboard and keyboard switches.
Do we have it? Do we have it somewhere?
Yeah, this is the classic.
Lovely.
This is the main version I was using right here because has the WAS set up.
That's awesome.
And he had asked, like, hey, where'd you get some of the resources for that? And like, oh yeah, this, and whatever. And I showed him the YouTube video that I learned it from, what I was working off of, the soldering or whatever. And he showed me some of the early concepts for like the support plates and his ideas. Like, oh, what'd you use? Like, oh, it just uses a simple Pico board and just a little bit of solder, and you're able to put it together. Boom, 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 boom. You're good to go. And eventually that's what led to him getting enough of the resources for him to actually put together the camp kits. We actually gave one away. We gave two away because the one who won was Nick from Graham, and I guess he was going to send him. He was going to send him one anyway on the giveaway thing, and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to give one more away." I'm like, "All right, let's do this." And the guy who won happened to live like 5 minutes away from me, so I actually showed up in person and delivered it to him.
That's community, baby. That's community.
So it's funny how like that transpired, right? We are like one, like had that weird connection, the camp kit, me helping him with helping Mike with like some of the research and showing the inspiration, and you with like doing the branding on it. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's a lot more recent, but when it like really came to a head, and this is a matter of pure luck that this happened. I'm not gonna lie.
Which that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, Evo put out a tweet that was just like showing off some of their like visual identity for the upcoming Evo this year, and they're like, oh, just a little sneak peek of what we got going on, some of our looks that we have, and it's just like really killer art of like Ryu and Akuma. And I just retweeted it, and I was like, I quote retweeted it. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. I would love the chance to be able to like work with like the Evo like art team one day, but that's a pipe dream, camera died. Love that.
No. Yeah, my camera died, so I had to switch to my I call it my PNG tube.
That's totally cool. No, and then I had Mike from Gaming Generations. Bless that man. What a cool guy. He reached out and he was like, hey, I know some people that are looking for some work, like specifically the CEO team. I would love to be able to like introduce you and like, like get you talking and everything else. And I'm like, yes, please. That was really when it was like, oh my God, this is real. Like, this is something that I've been working towards and this is happening.
Oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah, seriously, that was my exact feeling. And I got to speak with like some of the gaming generations team. I got to submit some like merch designs for CEO this year. Unfortunately, none of them got chosen, and there's for good reasons. They weren't like up to my like they weren't up to snuff for my personal standards. Looking back on it, and that's totally fine. But I actually ended up emailing like Jabali and the CEO team recently, and I was like, "Hey, I would love to be able to like get some feedback from you guys directly. I would love to be able to talk about like what I can maybe do better in the future, stuff like that." Jabali gave me some like really good insight and some really good critique. And I was like, oh, hey, if you ever would love to like work on some other like projects, just because like merch design isn't quite my specialty personally, I like gave them my portfolio. And Jabali was like, dude, where was this talent when you were working on the merch stuff? And I'm like, I'm sorry. My bad. He's like, I will
That's
absolutely
funny.
keep this on hand. Like, I would love to hit you up for a project in the future. And I'm like, yes, please do. And I just accidentally, like, I just reached out again recently. And I was like, hey, I'm just doing a little follow-up thing. I have yet to hear back. Jabali, please answer my emails. Oh my gosh.
Jabali, please.
Jabali, please answer my emails. But like my foot's in the door, right? At least, which is
Yeah.
so awesome. That's when it was real. Like this is real. This is actually happening.
This is really the moment where like, oh, I'm being recognized by a very important community member type
Yeah,
video.
no, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I think I can talk about this. Coming up soon is Cream City Convergence, which is a Wisconsin regional happening on August 31st. I have been tapped to do some work for them, which is
Ooh.
really exciting. I won't
Awesome.
go into details about it, but I do
Yeah.
have some stuff in the pipeline that you'll be able to see there this year, which is awesome.
It's funny how like we can have those moments of like, I didn't think this was going to work out for me, and now all of a sudden it is, and it's just it's fun to see where you can take like those little micro experiences and they sort of blow up in if that's a fun way to say it. They kind of expand in a way that like sometimes you didn't even think that it would. And all of a sudden you're giving yourself all brand new kind of opportunity that just like didn't exist or like was very much a pipe dream. And I really like hearing that. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's again. So like send that email, send that DM, retweet that post because you literally never know what's going to happen out of it.
Never have an idea where it could go.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to take that chance for sure.
I think again, it really does play into the idea that within the community, we have this chance where it's very open to like anyone who has the passion and skills, and sometimes not even the skills. Sometimes just the passion is enough to put yourself in the position where you can make a name for yourself doing some of the things you have huge passion for. And I really love that. Like every time I kind of have these kinds of conversations, I see and I hear another example of like someone just had the passion for it and they took a chance. And that was enough to get them to have a foot in the door to do something. And it was given enough to have the additional chances to, do commentary, to work with a bigger team, to have a brand expansion that a lot of people didn't think about. And I think that's pretty awesome. Like you have that version of that for yourself. Because come on, how often are you going to have a chance to like make this kind of merch for these kinds of people and these kinds of events, especially if you didn't even think about doing it in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a ride for sure. This has gone so much farther than I absolutely thought it ever would. I thought mostly that I was just going to be like a small time, like just a Guilty Gear artist for however long, but actually having the opportunity to be able to do some of these things has just been the greatest thing in the world. Like I cannot be any more thankful than I am now. It's so awesome.
I think the next step is eventually going to Arc World Tour and doing a little something for them. That's going to be the pipe dream for right now, I'm guessing.
that if I could work with Arxis, that'd be a dream come true. Oh my gosh.
It's
That'd
like,
be
I'll make the badges,
incredible.
guys. I'll please.
Like I will make Axel stuff for you, Arxis. Just give me the chance. I will
Just give
do
me
it.
this.
Just give me the money and the time, and I've got it.
I'm kind of upset. My camera failed. I actually have me and my brother went to Arc World Tour. He paid for my ticket. Shout out to my brother Larry Lemons in the chat. He got us the tickets, and we got the VIP tickets. So we got like exclusive like Guilty Gear merch. So we got the glass tumbler.
Yeah, I saw the glass in your background. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the glass tumbler. Also got like this coaster, a pin, and which is like a huge pin. It's like a 3x4 or 3x2 like multi-panel pin that like you're gonna need like additional pin support just to get it because it feels like it weighs like a pound.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it has visuals with Guilty Gear, Blaze, and Uni on there. And it's like, oh, cool. This is awesome. Heavy as hell. I'm not going to be able to pin that to anything, but it's cool that I have it. Yeah, so.
I mean, and honestly, like, I will say as well, especially like working in the FGC, it's been really great. You know, I've had such a good time. Like, I knew that this is like really what I wanted to do, but it was honestly like really solidified this past Combo Breaker, as a matter of fact, because I went to both Frosties and Combo Breaker this year. Frosties was a blast. I had such a great time when I was there. It was so awesome. And I was like, oh man, like going to majors is the best. They're literally offlines over everything. This is the greatest thing in the world.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, I had that bug, you know, that bug bit me, and I just had the energy, and I just had to like keep going. And I went to Combo Breaker, and that's when it really like solidified. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like being in the FGC, being in the community, going to these events, being able to maybe even like help like design these events, stuff like that. Like, that's exactly what I want to do. I came home from Combo Breaker so motivated and so energized to just like keep doing what I'm doing. It was so awesome.
Yeah, and you actually competed in Combo Breaker, right?
Yes, correct. I did indeed.
I think I saw, was it 3-2 or 2-2?
I think it was, I believe it was 4-2 and 97th place.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Dang. Yeah, going 4-2 is pretty awesome. I'm gonna say it right now, I don't think I'd be able to. Give me like 5 months of training, I still probably wouldn't go even.
No, that's so fair. I didn't make it out of pools at Frosties. I got like 200 some odd place, and I was like so disappointed because that was my one goal. I wanted to make it out of pools.
Yeah.
And then like Combo Breaker gave me the chance. Getting out of pools was amazing. Cracking top 100 for the love of God. It was amazing. I thought it was the best.
Doing the double digits. That's it's what's the I'm trying to remember what the exact breakdown is, but like 50% of all people who enter a bracket will go 0-2, and then a quarter of that won't be able to break even. So you're like, regardless of like the fact that you went positive, only a quarter of people that enter a bracket will ever go positive.
Yeah, and that was absolutely bonkers to me. Let me see if I can actually pull up my record for sure.
Yeah, certainly.
But it was just, I don't know. That was like, I actually almost like cried, like just sitting there. I like whenever my set was done to get me out of pools, like I almost cried, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Especially like at a Combo Breaker.
Yeah, 4-2 and 97th. Yep.
Hey.
And my seed was 200, so I did way better than
you blew past your seed crazy by a crazy amount. That means you were seeded to go like what? You're seeded to go even, no? Something like that.
More than likely, roughly about, yeah.
Something like that. That's pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
I actually have a question. What was your first in-person like major tournament that you've been to?
That So it's technically not a major, but it was actually Cream City Convergence last year was like the big like was my first like big tournament.
Like a
You know,
regional
like
tournament, then, right?
yeah, precisely the regional. That was my first like ever thing. That was last year. Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Just Guilty Gear.
It was just Guilty Gear, yeah, and I
Okay.
had a crazy showing there too. My first ever regional, I got 17th. That's what it was. Yeah,
Good lord.
yeah.
That's pretty
I
awesome.
lost. I lost to Prince Peach and Robbie on the Bobby. I remember those two guys right there.
Of
To
course,
an
you'll
Eno
remember
and a
that.
Sin. That was funny.
An Eno and a sitting an Eno. I could have swore there was only one Eno that ever plays well.
Yeah, my goat Kid Dracula, of course. Yeah. I remember like in my losers run, like I lost to Robbie on the Bobby 3-2. And I remember that match, like it's really funny in hindsight, just because, of course, with like a good chunk of the community, you would think that fighting Axel, that like I'm like killing their legacy and their bloodline in real time just by being an Axel player. Like, and even though Robbie on the Bobby won the set 3-2, that dude was pissed off the whole time. Like, still mad, getting up, like winning the set. And like looking back on it now, it's so funny. And he's a really great dude, and he's a really nice guy. But it's so hilarious. I thought it was so great.
It doesn't matter that you won. Is the anger
It's
that was
the mental
felt.
damage. It's the mental sack,
The emotional,
yes.
yeah, exactly. The emotional damage that hits because of that.
Yeah, that speaks for itself.
Oh god, that's pretty funny. That's fun. That's fun times. Oh, so
Midwest is so awesome.
what's the phrase that they say? No coast, no masters.
No coast, no kings, baby.
There you go. No coast, no kings. There you go. So it's kind of funny, like thinking about like such a major blow up, like when it comes to like the kinds of projects you got to work with and work for, right? Like, I don't think there's too many people that can say within 2 years of actively working, you can put CEO and all these other like bigger tournaments on a resume like that. There's not too many people that can go and actively say, yeah, look at my resume, and they see someone who probably would
pull out the scroll.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a high level of achievement in such a super short period of time. Like, what was your like major like validation? Your first like major validating version? Because I know I asked like who were some of your big projects, but what was your first like really validating moment within your journey doing design for the scene that kind of like said, oh, wait a minute, I think I'm doing more than I thought I could just because like people are willing to give me a chance?
Oh, that's. I have a couple different examples of that, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just like being able to work with a lot of different, like, just small time organizations within the Guilty Gear scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it really kicked off like in like 2023, like working with the Bracket About Nothing folks, because I'm looking through all my projects right now. But especially 2024, being able to work, I think it was like creating a lot of the MASH stuff for sure. Either that or like doing like the Bark items, like when Bark Not Block, when they were still running that tournament, or even like the Dog Park tournament that used to run as well. Just like doing a lot of those like small time net play tournaments that people were like, entering, like had these like larger entrance numbers, anywhere from like, 30 to 60, depending on what it was, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Having those opportunities for people to just like actively see my work, whether it was like, promotional material or like stream material, stuff like that was really awesome. Another big thing too. Oh, actually, I have a real answer for this. Never mind. I have like a little like fourth wall clothing shop, just from like some designs that I've slapped on some shirts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't touched it in a while. I should really get back to it. But
Hey,
my
you never know.
first,
You never know which one blows up, right?
that's fair, right? My first ever drop of items like actually had genuine sales, which was super sick.
Ooh.
Um, and like what's really blown me away is seeing photos from people like of Combo Breaker 2024, like wearing my stuff.
Yeah,
There's people who like had my sweaters, had my shirts on.
that's
I'm
crazy.
just like, that's like there's my art is out there on people's bodies right now. That's crazy to me, you
Yeah,
know?
certainly.
And it was so validating, especially this year doing like Frosties as well. Because beforehand, I had created jerseys for the MASH team and like going there and seeing everybody competing in the MASH jerseys that I made. That's nuts. That blows me away. That's
That's
crazy to
you.
me.
That's
That's
you.
me. I did that. Like that's bonkers. Or like it's a very small time example. It's a lot more closer to home. But my partner literally has my art tattooed on his body. Like
A.
that's nuts to me as well.
I
Like
mean,
that's a permanent part of his life forever now.
oh, hopefully the breakup isn't bad.
I mean, it was let's see, it was 6 years about a week and a half ago, so we're still going strong for sure.
Hooray! Hooray! That's awesome.
But just like having my designs on people's shirts, on their bodies, at
Yeah.
events, at tournaments, just in their everyday life, that's so awesome. That's so sick to me.
Yeah, you are literally some person's casual wear happening at any given moment.
Precisely. That's so crazy. So awesome.
What design is it called at the very least? So if people actually wanna find it out and they want to purchase it themselves, what is the design?
So actually what's really funny is that a lot of my stuff kind of like flows into itself. Because my first ever clothing drop, and like my clothing like brand, quote unquote, is actually called Street Cat Saga, as a matter of fact. My first ever drop was Street Cat Saga Volume 1. And I have the link right here, which I'm dropping in the chat room. But that's that. You can find Street Cat Saga over on the fourth wall. You can probably dig up an old tweet of mine about it if you look for it. But I've got some fun stuff there that I'm actually still like really proud of, as a matter of fact.
Where is it? Where is it? You say you dropped it in the chat or in the?
In the chat, yes, indeed.
Oh, I don't think it let it go in the chat. I don't see it.
What cringe?
All right, you know what? Just send in the message and I'll post it in the description afterwards.
That'll work for sure. Moderating system does not like me, I guess.
All right. All right. So I will update the description and that'll be it. There you go. Drop that art. We'll do that.
Excellent.
Chat.
Lovely.
Make sure to stop by and rewatch the VOD and you'll see the link in there. You'll see that link in that description.
Precisely. But like Street Cat Saga was my first like drop. I had a t-shirt that had a design titled Street Cat True Free Spirit. Because I've always been really inspired by a lot of like tech wear, streetwear, a lot of just like very like modern clothing stuff, like in that sort of design style.
Certainly.
I try to emulate that a lot. And I was really inspired by this artist named It's Birdie, right? I'm sure you've seen it around. He did the super popular like Pokemon and their evolution onesies artwork.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Same guy. Mm-hmm. He had this clothing brand called Kings Must Rise. And it was all about just like, like your own personal freedom, like being yourself, chasing your own creative endeavors and stuff like that. And that's where like True Free Spirit, that's where Street Cat came from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, being out there, just living your life however you want to and everything else. And that's really important to me because I'm a very big like individualist, I'm all about just like being yourself literally no matter what in the face and the spite of literally everything. And so that was a very, very huge inspiration for me.
Yeah. I mean, seeing your individual endeavors be as successful as they kind of are, it really does help kind of give, at least, even if it's not like validation for everyone else, it's an internal validation. Oh, yeah. And given that like every moment in the existence that we have, especially now, we got to have we got to have room to find those things more and more and more every day. All things considered, with just the state of overall existence, like people's U.S. citizenship are in question just because they have the ability to speak another language is happening, right? People's validation and existence are just being erased from Stonewall, from all of our records at any given moment, and next thing you know, we disappear from the reality of what has truly been, and being covered up with the facade of oppression at every given point. So seeing those kinds of things and kind of like making your own like identity and self, like free flow, is extremely important. Like I said, between literally everything happening right now and just us living in the system that we do, that very much chooses to make people think you need to fall in line as much as possible, because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere. But taking these moments for yourself are very important in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to just stand against that however I can. And it's especially important for me just as like a queer artist, especially like in Guilty Gear scene, which like is just a very queer scene by itself, probably half of our players are transgender at this rate.
It's at some point.
If you want to get better at gear, you got to trans your gender.
There's nothing transing the youth except for Guilty Gear.
Yeah, so true. Guilty Gear is making the freaking teens gay and trans. Yeah, that's how it goes.
On the flip side, it's either that or Project M. That's why Zoe Zephyr is trans, because they played Project M.
So true. Absolutely.
I was joking. I was watching this like YouTube journalist that goes by Dead Domain, and they were playing like Darkstalkers or something, like in between, like doing like reactions to like the news and everything, and they were playing, and I dropped into the chat and I was like, hey, Dead Domain, you claim to be NB trans, but like, how come I've never seen you play Guilty Gear or Project M? And that derailed the combo trials from laughing so hard.
Incredible.
I'm like I also think it's a little too on the nose that they chose Testament to be their main. I'm like, okay, it's cool that you want the NB representation, but it's a little on the nose that you kind of are only choosing Testament for that reason. A little on the nose.
Everyone's got a favorite, right? Of course, absolutely. I mean, you know how many like DMs and like messages that I get, especially in like Start GG chat after like tournament sets and stuff like that. People are like, this whole roster, and you picked up Axel Lowe, and I'm like, yeah. It's my favorite guy. That's my little Blorbo right there. That's my little dude. I love him. That is my favorite male wife, Axel Lowe. That's my guy right there.
There you go. The other funny thing I was saying that like, or that I found out, is in the gaming space, one of the top favorite games amongst trans people are also Fallout for some reason. I don't understand that one, but apparently that one's a thing. They also all work in IT, and the majority of them drink White Monster specifically.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. You got the Holy Trinity of Fallout New Vegas, Celeste, and Guilty Gear Strive. That's it. That is the transgender Holy Trinity.
Of all of what was there was this game that was coming out. I forgot what it was. It's like Celeste, but it had wave dashing mechanics specifically to emulate Melee. And
I heard about that. I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
And the quote tweet afterwards is like, science has finally perfected the most transgender platformer of all time.
Incredible.
I'm like, oh, that's good. Oh,
But, like,
yeah, the
even,
Melee
like-
Celeste game, that one. That's the one.
Yes.
I forgot what it's called. If someone can like find out what it's called, drop it in the chat. I'd love to shout them out just for the hell of it.
Yeah, no, but like even just like, like circling back around a little bit, like that's just why. I mean, obviously with the stuff that I'm doing, I'm not like breaking new like ground, like with like any sort of like statements about like queer identity and stuff like that. But just being able to make the stuff pardon me, making the stuff that I do and that I can, just in by itself is just a statement of its own, just being here,
All right, so
being loud and proud and everything else. It's
real
great.
quick, it's Entropoly is the name. Hell yeah.
That's the one.
Shout out to that game. Shout out to that game.
Yes.
Yes, apparently the most trans platformer of all time.
Amazing.
Except for in June, I'm just like Hassan Piker. I'm an LGBT foe only in June, which is why I had to learn all the stereotypes to make fun of them as much as possible. I remember this one time I was talking to like some like normies. I was at this like vendor event where like it's like a pop-up vendor event, and there was a they sell cannolis. Yeah, they sell cannolis. Yeah, it's this couple, and I go up to them and I'm like, "How's it going, fellas?" And they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I was talking. I don't know how it got brought up, but Hassan Piker got brought up, and it was probably because of me. In all honesty, because I can't help myself. Despite the fact I'm a full-grown adult, I don't know how to communicate every now and then. I bring up Hassan Piker. It's like, yeah, it's funny because he's like a big dumb himbo who's very popular in politics. But like the joke is he's an LGBT foe, and like the guy like gives me a weird look, and it's like, yeah, and it's just like a funny thing because he's only homophobic to one person, that's his friend. And like I think he has like the highest percentage of trans like viewers. I think it was like it was not very scientific, but I want to say it's like 12% of his audience that watches him live is trans at any given point. I'm like, that's really high, which is like, if you max out like the amount of people, like if you put it like in a broad sense, that's the equivalent like of every queer person's like anyone that identifies as queer in like the overall population. That's the equivalent of his audience overall.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, for sure.
Again, I don't know why I even said that, but they got a good laugh afterwards. After I explained it, and then I showed him, and I think it's his husband. I'm not 100% sure. I showed them a picture of who he was, and like I didn't choose a picture right away. So like one of the shots was like him not wearing a shirt, and it's like, yeah, he's a big dumb himbo. It's like, oh, excellent. Oh yeah, this is the guy. Sure and like, and then I picked the picture, like the one that people use all the time where he's like sitting and like speaking at a conference or whatever. But before that, it's like a shirtless picture of him. And I'm like, wait, hold on. This is not what I meant, guys.
I swear, I promise. Yeah.
I promise. To riff along about the stereotype of queer folks and Guilty Gear, there was one thing that I saw was hilarious. That like, what would you do if your kid was trans? Is like, I'm putting that sucker in the lab. No VR chat. I'm not like, I don't want the VR chat trans kid. I need the Guilty Gear trans kid. Take off the glasses and get your ass in the lab.
Start playing Guilty Gear now.
It's like, get your ass in the lab now. Get that GameCube controller out of your hand. It's like here's a leverless.
Get an arcade stick. Go crazy. Love that.
I mean, to be fair, like Arc World Tour, first person gets 50K. Oh, like there you go. They don't have to worry about it. So as long as they're good enough, and it's like this will pay for your HRT. Don't even worry about it.
Say, unfortunately, you were cutting out a good bit. I have not heard any of what after that Arc World part so far. I'm so sorry.
Oh no! Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, cool. I'm probably yelling too hard. But yeah, yeah, Arc World Tour has like 50K. So like, there you go. Boom. That pays for your HRT.
Yep, that's the goal. Get that 50K in there. That's what you're aiming for. Oh,
yeah. Win Arc World Tour to pay for your HRT. I mean, that's the way to do it, right?
I mean, either that or just target an SNK game. They got money. Go.
Right.
Go play City of the Wolves. Go get that prize pool.
That's a lot easier than the Capcom Cup. Say that
Ain't that the truth? So true.
Oh God. Oh yeah. All right. Fun sidebar. So you've kind of like you've built like a lot of this like goodwill super quick, which is really awesome. You've worked with a bunch of different kinds of people. You've worked with different kinds of people at different kinds of levels, which is again amazing to kind of like think about in such a short period of time. You've kind of are like seeing that I have this like this skill that a lot of people are willing to kind of go out for bat for. I'm creating these larger bodies of work all over the place, and people like what they see. You know, you've made merch, you've made graphics, you've made all kinds of things at this point, and you even worked with folks like Jabali. So at what point do you think, and did you think to yourself, and I don't remember if I even asked this, did you think, there's a big viability for me to take this to be a full-time career? Because I've seen like some stuff on the timeline where like you're not at that level yet because, people still have to work a regular job. You even said it so yourself. You literally just got home right in time for me to turn on the computer so we can get ready for stream.
But again, unfortunately.
But like, at what point are you starting to see is like, I think I'm almost at the point where I'm ready to get to that level of maybe this might be the pivot that I need to start the career of this design work. Like, are you seeing glimpses of that, or are you kind of like still very early to kind of like think about, well, I think I might need more time, or where are your thoughts on that, given what you've worked on so far and what you are currently working on?
Right. I think personally that I'm kind of like a weird middle point, right? Where like clearly I'm making money off of this for sure. I mostly work on a lot of commission and everything else. But it's not making the money that I want it to. Like I cannot just like up and quit and go like quit my job tomorrow and try to do this full time, because it just wouldn't work. And that's just how it is. I know that straight up. It just would not work. Um, I think, as well as the fact that like I'm still relatively new at like what I'm doing. I mean, sure, I've been at this for like 3 years now. But a lot of my stuff is definitely operating under like a lot of just like cool. I have no sort of like formal study. I'm all fully self-taught at this. I have not studied a lot of like, the fundamentals and everything else when it comes to design and everything else. So I just feel like I still have a lot of room to learn and a lot of room to grow. I think hopefully, being able to get in with like a lot of these like organizations and like big tournaments like CEO, Evo's the pipe dream for sure. But like being able
Certainly.
to do that like regularly and maybe even like, collaborate with gaming generations and stuff a lot more. I feel like that's really where it'd be able to be kick off and be able to do this full time.
Mm-hmm.
Like my goal is to at least hopefully by the end of next year be able to do it full time and not have to work a 9 to 5 ever again, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I'm at a weird middle point where like I feel like I have the work to prove myself and the work to show it, but there's still just such a long way to go all at the same time, you know.
There's a funny like example of like a form of what, you know, your journey is right now that I have a vague awareness of. It's there's a podcast just ended its run actually by the name of This Is Rad. The now wife, I want to say they got married, of one of the co-hosts makes all of the graphics for the podcast. Like so the whole point of This Is Rad is the guest brings like something they're very enthusiastic about, whether it be, you know, romance novels, comics, or like specific like noir comics or Marvel comics or like Dragon Ball, like specific directors like Kevin Smith, all kinds of things that you can like think about, right? If you can think about it, chances are like they made an episode, like even something weird like Tom DeLonge's Secret Machine. Do you know? Which do you know that he wrote like a nonfiction and a fiction book about aliens.
I have heard of that. Yes.
So he was it came out. It was released. He actually worked with the U.S. government about aliens.
Oh, interesting.
That's where his nonfiction research book comes from. Yeah, weird as hell how that happened. Don't know. Whatever. The like one of the best one. I'm getting a little tangent around there because I need to process the fact that they're ending. Some of their most listened to episodes are the Animorphs episode, which was like year 2 of their existence. The Animorphs episode. What's the one? The Invisibles.
Okay.
The Invisibles, which, have you read that comic before?
I have not. No.
Okay, so that's definitely a crazy one. And the Tom DeLonge Secret Machine all happen to be the same guy, Brent Schmidt. So like, there's just a big like swath of things. And so what she does is she creates a graphic based on whatever that episode is about. Like for the Star Wars, was it Rise? No, not Rise of Skywalker. I forgot the name of the new one that came out, the episode 7.
I got it.
She took every single person on the podcast and made them a character on the poster. And because they didn't have a character for the main guy, they just put the same glasses he wears on one of those little bird owl thingies it's at the end of the movie. So like she has done all kinds of things, and it's just more of like, because of like making these graphics for the podcast for years, she has like a crazy portfolio of different visual styles as a direct result of that, which helped her get her current job. You're in that point now where similarly you've done all of these projects that like create a portfolio, and it's not like portfolio pieces, like, which my understanding used to be the thing back in the day. You had to create pieces that are specifically for a portfolio to kind of show your elasticity or your specificity, depending on, you know, how you're making your portfolio. You're building that new groundwork for yourself. And again, if you end up doing it full time, not within the MGC, and you kind of create your own pathway, you see that like, look at what I can do with branding. There was literally actually an episode about graphic design where they explain this exact concept I'm talking about right now. So if you want to go find that episode from This Is Rad, it's on graphic design. And it's not like graphic design is my passion. It's MS Paint or whatever, but
always the big joke. Graphic design is my passion. Love that one.
I use the clip art text
Of course,
on the white background. I think it was City of Burbank. They needed to find someone to find a graphic designer. And they said, graphic design is my passion. And like, they didn't even use text. They drew some of the lettering with the mouse and they wrote it out that way.
Insane.
Yeah. I mean, so kind of going to the point that I wanted to say, as I was getting lost and reminiscing about podcasts I listened to for almost a decade. Now having like all these pieces kind of like sets you up so that you can have that full-time experience. Have you thought about, if you do want to have this type of work be a full-time thing, have you thought about like what it would be like not being within the FGC, but kind of like in the broader like corporate sense in some way? And like, do you think that like it's compatible with what you do in your art styles, or do you feel like it's too different from what mainstream graphic design work would be?
No, that's definitely an excellent question. I would very much want to, like, obviously I don't want to like super restrict myself to the FGC itself. Like, I love this community, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But like literally I would love to be able to just do like anything and everything, I'm mostly like, I'm just kind of trying to focus in like the esports, just like scene as a general, like as a general thing. Just because like esports is really coming up in the public eye. People are really starting to take it seriously as a concept, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, with these big things, like just Rocket League, League of Legends, CSGO, like all this stuff that's been like really on the up and up these past, decade, 15 years, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I especially was really partial to like the Overwatch League whenever it first premiered.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad to see the way that it's gone now, fortunately. But like that first like season 1 LA Valiant, boys back then, I loved that team so much. Just having be able to do that kind of stuff would be so sick. I do find a little bit of a frustration in that sort of concept though, just because I'm sure you've heard the terms like esports slop thrown around whenever it comes to a lot of design and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just like, I wouldn't use that term. Just kind of side note, I hate the word slop. I think it's meaningless and does nothing. But I can recognize that a lot of it.
That's the problem, because that's what slop is supposed to be.
I know.
It self-describes. Oh no.
It's
an Ouroboros.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, unfortunately. But I can recognize that like a lot of it does look the same. It's very samey, that kind of thing. I would love to be able to like still work within that scene, but like add my own like flavor to it, essentially, just be able to like maybe mentor under somebody or have like some sort of internship that I could get in with, and just be able to like talk to these people and like get on the ground floor and like see what's going on and see if I can just add my own sort of like personality to sort of things,
I think that's like something that like, I think people don't really understand when it comes to certain kinds of visuals. They'll be like, oh, we need something very, they'll say some kind of dumb description, and lo and behold, like it's actually not what they want. They'll say, oh, I want it to be this, and this. And it's like, all right, I can give it to you.
Okay.
This is what you're claiming what you want. And then when it looks like trash, you can't be mad at me because this is what you wanted. I'm telling you, this is what you actually want. Right. And that's the corner, unfortunately, that, something like esports, like very much paints itself into the corner of, where it's like you want to have a certain level of legitimacy, a certain level of credibility with what you have, but like you being on this end of like the producer of these visuals is like, I can do it, but I know that's not exactly what you want. What you want is more this feeling rather than this look. And I think that's kind of like the thing that a lot of people don't really know or think about until like they get proven. There's proof that like, oh, this is what you actually meant, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's like it's kind of like starting to fix itself a little bit, especially
Mm-hmm.
with like, newer designers and like modern trends and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because even just to name a few off the top of my head, like just FlyQuest, I really love the stuff that FlyQuest puts out. Like
Mm-hmm.
their graphics team just does really excellent work.
Oh yeah.
Such good stuff. Or like previously Moist Esports, now Shopify Rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
they do really excellent stuff too. The artist like G4, who used to work like with the Moist Esports team, who's like a
Mm-hmm.
Blender artist, had like some like really creative stuff whenever he was doing like tournament promotions and placements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just like I don't know, like a lot of these like newer designers, that like a lot of these like this new blood, pretty much. It's
Mm-hmm.
just really putting a whole lot of like just new life and creativity into the esports scene, and I'm just like I'm all about it. I love it to death. I think it's great.
I think the more we can move away, and you're seeing this a little bit when it comes to like merchandise for like just like within Smash and FGC, you're moving away from, oh, here's the big in your face, this is what this is the game we're playing, blah blah blah. And it's kind of like, well, let's look more at the aesthetic of it and look at the concepts of what the game is that we're doing, right? Like a really good example that a lot of people love are Spiff Space, where you can, if you're in the know, their Oni jackets are like, oh, that's DK, that's Akuma, right? Outside of it, it just looks like, the like an Oni mask. And it's like, oh, that's a really cool looking demon guy. And it's like a really cool jacket. Lo and behold, it's all hardcore gaming and it's built into their stuff. A lot of like the merchandise that me and my brother saw when we were at Arc World Tour, there's a lot of like very in your face, so that people can have like the really good, like real good, like, oh, that guy can definitely talk to. And there's some of it, there's a lot more subtle in it. And like, unless you are in the know, you're just gonna think it's just some dude with some random design on it, right? Like the Guilty Gear logo shirt that I had, it looked like a tour. It just says Guilty Gear Strive on it, and the back, then it has the full roster on the back. There was one that I saw, I think it was, I forgot what tournament did this, but like their whole tournament branding for it was just black metal font. I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
can't remember the name of it, but I know precisely what you're talking about.
I love that. I love that style, mainly because like, and I was very much into like grindcore and crust punk back in the day, and seeing that like visual styling, and then like I was there at the beginning of the rise of like with like metalcore and like Suicide Silence and all that jazz, and I'm like, look, this is the visual stylings of the time, and like it's become such its own separate thing that like it's permeating to like general aesthetic design for things. And seeing that like be like a forefront like style proves a couple different things. It proves that visual styling for what we can present within FGC and Smash, because like general esports, it's a little bit different. A lot of their stuff is very sports orientated, so they are gonna like really have that because they have that like corporatization to it. Whereas at Smash and FGC, no matter how big it gets, ultimately there's that grassroots feel and hominess too.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that proves that like these styles can permeate and create looks and visuals that like are oftentimes just relegated to like underground scenes. The other thing that particular font also gives credence to is a shit ton of these people are just like scene kids from back in the day.
That's so true.
They were just scene kids, and now they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, you know how jealous I am of all the people that were at the My Chemical Romance show in Seattle yesterday? I'm so jealous of them. Hello? I wish I was there. That should have been me instead.
Apparently, that's like also like a major thing in video production and costume design, and especially in makeup. A lot of them were just former scene kids. I'm like, oh, I wonder why.
I wonder how we got here.
I wonder how we got here. You can't tell me. Oh God, I'm realizing I'm actually like way older than you, so you might not know this. Do you know who the Millionaires are?
Not a name I've heard, unfortunately.
So the Millionaires were like these like 3 scene queens that made like what I think might be like the precursor to like hyperpop, where it's just like a bunch of like scene kids making pop music, and like
awesome.
they kind of like started and laid down the groundwork for like what influencers would do in this day and age. But like the ones that moved on, and the ones who were like fans of them eventually like just got really into like video production, because one thing about like scene kids and the MySpace era, it was like, oh, how do I make an aesthetic? How do I do this? What we think of now as like production and like influencer culture, like that kind of stems from that online era, that MySpace era. So it's not that big of a stretch to say like the reason why production is the way that it is because a lot of them were fans of like all these scene queens and scene kings back in the day.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And just like it's definitely headed in a good direction too, just because like you still kind of see it now, but a lot of just like FGC merch is background of some kind and then character PNG slapped on it.
Yeah.
Which is my least favorite sort of merch that exists out there in the world. So that's why I try so hard to like be a little different about it. I will give kudos to like people like M.Rage who like technically kind of do that, but at least they have an answer for them and then like put it on like the back of their jackets. M.Rage makes such cool stuff, by the way. I'm such a big fan of them. So
I just real quick, this is the coaster from Arc World Tour.
Sick. Awesome.
And there's this big ass honking pin.
My God, yeah, you were not kidding. Wow.
Like
that's huge.
Here's it next to the tumbler. What the heck?
Yeah, why on earth would you need a pin that large? Someone's pin boards are gonna like fall off the wall.
Now, additional scale. Here's my gram leverless.
Yeah.
Look how tall that is.
That's bonkers. There's no need for that. That's bonkers.
I just wanted to show you that real quick because the camera's back.
What is Arxis cooking?
Hilarious. But yeah, I get what you mean too. Like, one thing that I think is also funny in a lot of parts of the FGC, that especially like if it's based out of like the East Coast, like northern part of the East Coast, and to some extent those closer states to that from the Midwest, is the Cholo branding, the graffiti, the street art branding, which here's this postcard that I got.
Oh, nice, for the pop-up shop. Nice.
So like me growing up in SoCal, and being in an area where we see graffiti all the time, Chicano culture is just like an eminent thing. Seen a lot of like that graffiti design. Like that's just my jam. Like that's just me.
Even like this year's combo breaker.
There, yeah, that's kind of where I was gonna go to. Like combo breaker got the styles. I'm like, yo, there you go. There's someone who practiced some throw ups, and that became the whole branding right there.
Yeah, sure did. Absolutely.
That's me. I love that shit. I will go ride or die for that. My dream car is like a 1969 Ford Ranchero, like purpley flake, or an El Camino, also purpley flake. Super gangster ass car. Yeah, I will get pulled over constantly.
Oh yeah, of course, naturally. Like I can even feel that too, especially just coming from my own culture. Like, unfortunately, I have the privilege of being incredibly white passing. But I'm half Puerto Rican on my mom's side.
Boricua?
Like my own, yeah, sure. And like being Boricua is such a huge like influence on both like myself and a lot of my artwork and everything else. Especially like a lot of like the native stuff and a lot of the symbols of like the Taino people and everything else that like that are native to the island and all that stuff. Like just seeing all of that is just so inspirational to me as well. And especially a lot of the like the anti like US like rebellion that does happen in a lot of like Puerto Rico as well. Their whole like the black and white Puerto Rican flag that's very like anti-US, like very like rebellion heavy and everything else. I think it's super awesome. Like being incredibly proud of stories to all is like finding out the corruption in the Puerto Rican government and the people putting a guillotine outside of like the mayor's mansion.
Yeah,
it's such an awesome story, and I'm
finding
so proud
out
of my people.
Have you incredibly side tangent? Do you know if like any of your family members have carpetas on them?
Oh, not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. I asked that because I had asked one of my coworkers because his mom's Puerto Rican. His mom's parents would have been around and would have definitely been part of the people, or at least in that immediate time frame, who, even if they had nothing to do with anything, they probably would have had carpetas on them. And like, if you ever have a chance to go to Puerto Rico, I think there's like an actual museum where you can find the ones of like any of your family members. So if you have any family members that are still there, you can like, hey, let's go see the museum and see if we have any carpetas on any of our family members.
That's not a bad idea. I have gone to the island once, like years ago when I was younger, but I think I was like too young to like fully like appreciate everything, And so I would like, especially now in my adult years, I would very much love to like go back and be able to just like fully soak it all in for sure,
The whistles of the cookies.
Yeah, it's so good. And like having some like genuine like everything else. So excellent. The food was so good. It was so good. I miss it so much. And I count myself super lucky too, because I was actually able to see oh my gosh, what was it? The Arecibo Observatory, like before it unfortunately like got crashed down in the storm. Like I was able to like go there and like go see the observatory, and it was so awesome. It was so cool.
Yeah, man. God, well, hopefully they gain their independence anytime soon. Because Lord, the level of colonialization that they're still experiencing to this day. Do you know the story of like how heart disease like rose in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah. See, that's what happens. They try to bring in a U.S. based diet, and then everyone just starts and growing fruits that have no reason to be growing there and shit. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's a story for another time.
That's a story for another time. That's a story for another time, chat. I don't think you're here to talk about the colonialization of a people. That like the story technically ended like 50 years ago ish, something like that. It technically ended 50 years ago, but colonialization never ends.
Unfortunately.
so now we're kind of like in this like position, right, in your career. You're taking stock of, the projects that you've done. You take in stock of the projects that you're doing, and you're looking at like the plan to really like kind of like move forward and seeing how you can take all of the skills that were gathered with your time in the scene and your time like creating for the scene and where you can push it to next. Do you have like that planned out, or do you kind of think it's more of like, I have the idea of what I want to do, but it's more of I need to see if these opportunities actually present themselves? Or do you kind of have like these individual checkpoints where you know that like you can make these moves so that you can convert your part-time freelance work to more concrete full-time work?
No, definitely. I get that for sure. I feel like it's a lot of stepping stones, right? Like I am incredibly lucky to be able to work with my team over at my regional and everything else. And I'm really like hoping to use that as a stepping stone and be able to like show it to future folks. Be like, hey, I have experience like working with event coordinators. I have experience like working like event like graphics, event design, stuff like that. I would love to be able to, help you with your tournament and stuff like that. It all just kind of compounds on itself, you know. I'm hoping to really just to be able to like get in the door with somebody somewhere. Honestly, if I could just like be on like Gaming Generation's payroll and they just want to send me out whoever needs help, that'd be great. I would love to do that because then it's like essentially an employed freelancer, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense at all.
I got you.
Essentially like a contracted freelancer is like kind of what I'm shooting for right now. But
Mhm.
like if anybody like wants to bring me on full time as like some sort of like on some part of a team, whether that's like CEO, Evo, Combo Breaker, like Frosties, like any of those events, like want to bring me on their team, I would be so open to that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But I guess more like a contracted freelancer is kind of what I'm looking for right now. It's like what I'm hoping to eventually achieve just by like building up these stepping stones of just like more and more projects, newer projects, more like serious, like in the FGC sort of projects, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Like, what's like one? I guess I should really ask this. Should have asked it a little bit earlier. What has been like your what has been like the kinds of projects that you've worked on? So you mentioned like Twitter banners and some like stream graphics, but like what has been your overall like body of work in like the things that you work on regularly or specialize in?
I like to say that I specialize in a lot of like visual branding and social media promotion mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's where I feel like a lot of my work mostly fits in, especially like working with a lot of these like net play tournaments and everything else. Obviously, I'm doing their promotional work, I'm doing their like visual like identity and visual branding work, stuff like that. Especially with like the Twitter banners and everything else, that's like essentially promotion of like individual people. That's essentially giving them it's like a concentrated dose of like here's who I am, here's my here's what I'm into,
Mm-hmm.
etc., stuff like that. So I like to essentially kind of boil it down to just visual branding and identity in social promotion.
Okay. Like, is that like the kind of like the thing that you like focus on the most, or that's kind of like what you realize is your like specialty? Because I know there's kind of like a difference. Like your specialty may be something, but like, oh, that's kind of where the majority of my skills can kind of work on, or it's like that's just like a big focus where you have a good insight on how to do this, but you're very elastic when it comes to what you do.
Right. I think it's a very much sort of thing where like that's just kind of how it's ended up,
Mm,
It's not like I set out from day one trying to pursue that like I guess like micro fields of design.
mm,
It's more about like, all right, here's the stuff that I've made and looking at it from an outside like perspective, sort of like an average, looking at it from an average. That's just kind of where it's ended up, like in that sort of like specific regard. I'll take pretty much any and all projects that come across my desk just because I like to learn about new stuff. I like
mm,
making new things. I think it's just fun for me personally. especially in a day and age, just like where graphic designers aren't just designers, like we're like motion designers, we're animators, we're illustrators, we're SM marketing, we're kind of doing like 37 different hats under just the
Yeah.
one label,
Yeah.
which like a lot of people are fighting back against, thankfully, of like, hey, graphic designers don't do all these things, like they have the one specific purpose, like maybe you shouldn't try to hire them for so many items. But like I like to take whatever I can, but my body of work has just kind of fallen that way just by pure circumstance.
Have you seen like actually that's a very interesting thing because like there has been this concept within people's like purview when it comes to like social media, like they will take on a body of work and they don't realize they're doing more than they're supposed to. Right. I've had a similar conversation when it comes to commentary with Cirque and from Mexico, who's a Smash commentator, bilingual commentator, English and Spanish, and Yin, who has done commentary and has worked social media as well for Smash events, of understanding the limits and understanding your worth. Like for them, the labor value that they bring to the scene is their voice, the storytelling, the personality to the stream, and being able to create other engagements within the space so that people can work with creating posts, creating moments, right? Because there's always a voice being heard on the super sick play that happens. There's always a story that can be told in the midst of micro interactions of, oh, this is the history of this player and this is how the history of this player, and like it makes moments and victories mean so much more or becomes so much more heartbreaking when a loss happens. Having the tough conversation of telling your peers you have to stop doing these things because it hurts everyone down the long term. It's giving you short-term gains, but it lessens the value of like the intense labor that has to go into creating any piece of the visual medium, because it's a weird like in between of commerce and artistic intent. Like graphic design is this like in this very strange space where what you're presenting is a commercial product that has its roots in artistic creativity. And there's a lot of like mental mental work that goes into figuring out the compartmentalization, figuring out the way in which you can present whatever you need to present to while still presenting your own personality into it. And having to tell your peers, this is what you're worth, this is what you should be doing, and this is what you should not be doing, even though they're trying to pay you above your worth. Because at the end, short-term gains ruin the long-term establishment of like what the value that we bring, right? Like, have you had those conversations, or have you reached out to people to kind of see like, how can I prove my worth and show them this is my value that I bring, without feeling that like I'm being outright disrespectful to the people who are trying to pay me for something or something like that, or like understanding and finding out, well, I was being undervalued for the great volume of work that was being presented. Like, have you had those conversations yet? Have you had this conversation before? And like, what has been some advice for you, or what's some advice you're willing to give for people who are in those kinds of circumstances?
See, that one is such like an interesting and a little bit of like a slippery slope, just because of the fact that like, kind of famously the big joke is like, the FGC is broke, et cetera, et cetera. all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've really kind of had to have these conversations myself, and just like having this back and forth with my partner and everything else too, of just like I'm putting out a lot of really good work, and I know that I'm scared to raise my prices because then what if I lose clientele and I lose work because of it? But you really just like have to be unafraid to just put out there like what you feel is like what you're like with what your value is. Like for example, like my banners have from like 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to 35 to 40. They're sitting at 40 right now just because they're like my most in demand piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I've made so many and I've gotten better at it and the artwork has gotten better. And so I feel like that's worth it. I feel like that value is definitely uh, especially not having like any formal or professional education or training in this sort of field, having to figure out the like money to clientele to like your prices, like are you going to lose like clients, are you going to gain clients, stuff like that. But I've also kind of found that especially in this sort of thing where if you are losing clients because of your prices, then they probably were not worth time, because if they're not willing to work with you, if they really want to work with you, they'll do it. But if like like sidebarring any sort of extraneous circumstances, like if they're not willing to pay you what you think you're worth and what the work is worth, then they're probably not worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
And so having to come to that realization, especially for me, where I'm such a people pleaser, where I'm just like, oh, all my price, which they are within reason. Um, having to hit that line of like, all right, there's a limit, there's only like such a low price that I'm willing to go, or especially doing like a lot of like changes. If we've hit like 5 6 7 sort of changes that you're asking for, like I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to charge you because that's extra time I'm taking my day, my life, whatever else, other projects maybe, in order to get these changes done for you. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that's the reality. I mean, I can recognize that from an outside perspective, a lot that I'm saying may sound very mean spirited, but unfortunately, that's the reality of commission work and client
Mm-hmm.
work. Is that if the clients aren't willing, then neither am I.
Yeah.
I like at the end of the day, this is a living. This is like half of a living for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so having to have those hard conversations with myself and having to commit to them has been really tough, but I also find it really fulfilling at the end of the day because I'm leaving with the knowledge that like, no, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm happy. The work it's like it shows it for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, even if I may lose one client, I may lose one job or one project, I still have all these other people in the community that are willing to support me, back me up, commission me again multiple times. Like I've had multiple time commissioners because they just keep coming back because they think the work is worth it, and that's really nice. There's always another client, at least.
True.
You may
True.
lose one, but there's always another.
I think that's like maybe because I've heard the conversations before. I've heard different versions of the conversation before. I've seen artists struggle with the same thing that you're talking about and not having anyone to bounce that off of. To me, I do have that understanding, right? That like, that's why I say it is the value of what you bring to the product that you deliver, and it's draining your creative juices, your thought processes over and over and over again to create a commercial product. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is a commercial product in some instances. It's not a big it's not like an art piece that you can pour time into. It is a commission job that you put through. But even then, you develop yourself, you develop your style, you develop your skills to the point where justifying price increases, justifying, creative decisions, and justifying being able to put these on charges is something that I think people don't really understand or realize, that like there's a lot of time and mental effort that goes into providing, these kinds of art pieces to people, that like, for people on the other side who don't understand it, it sounds like you're just being, difficult to work with and greedy because you're asking for this many changes. It's like you have a vision in your head of
being
which,
hard to work with.
yeah, it's like you have a vision in your head of like what you can provide them, which is why I had said that, like, and we said this earlier, like there's the product that you want, and then there's the product what you're telling me you want. And those two sometimes are very incompatible. And it's like, it's not your fault as the artist that the person is saying what they want versus getting the thing that they think that they actually did want in the first place. And like, if you provide that to them and you provide that worth, it's like there's no reason to consistently undercut yourself. I mean, there's no reason also to like, not help out a good client that it's like, all right, I've helped you enough, and if you're a little strapped, I will help you out and work something out, something different, and which is something that people do, like especially because we're such a grassroots like style community. We'll hand in those favors because we know that will be paid back to us forward in some other way later on down the line. Like, okay, we'll cut off like 10-15% off here because I know you'll be willing to come back to me. And it's like, I know you want to come back to me, or you'll help me out in another way. It may not be a monetary help, but it's something else that I know it's going to be a positive, positively reciprocated. Right. But the main thing that I want to harp on, it's like people who are in a similar position to you, especially if you're not signed to an org or not like signed to like a major corporation within, esports or whatever, that can just dole out you at like a regular salary or a regular contract salary or whatever, you have to understand that like these difficult conversations you're going to have with yourself, there may be someone else who has those answers, and don't be afraid to ask those people, especially if they're within like your sphere of like, of people that like have been in similar experiences. So that way you don't undercut the value of like what you can actually bring. Like, and the reasons I understand these things, aside from like seeing these conversations take place on the timeline, is I've been big into, learning about labor organization, learning about workers organizations, and coming together and having enough power to collectively bargain for the value that you bring to the world and bring to a workspace, right? Who's going to know more about art direction? The people who do the art, the people who do the graphic design, or the person who just has a vague idea but's never worked with it in the first place, right? Who's going to have a better idea of like how video production is going to work? The people who worked with video production at some point in the past, who made a living with it, or a guy who's just going to pick up like a random point and shoot and thinking that's going to be enough to like to do a whole shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, and even just to like touch on a few of those points too, I've had kind of a variation of clients, just from like all the people that I've worked with. I've definitely had folks who were just like, I have no idea what I want, full creative control, just go, pretty much. And then I'll hand them a product. They're like, great, perfect, that works. I'm like, awesome, sounds good. And I've definitely had clients where like they'll give me what they think they want. I'll put it on paper, on canvas, whatever, and I will be straight up. I'll be like, I will be 100% real with you. I don't think this is going to work for what you need. And if you'll just let me like take these base concepts and just tweak it a little bit, then we'll be great. I would much rather compromise with somebody about what they think their vision is, and just like, and give them something that we can both be proud of as, artist and client, for sure. And there have been like, not that many, I will say, but there have been a few times where I have taken like what somebody has given me and kind of just went the opposite direction, and it worked out. I mean, very, very lucky instances, of course, but I can even like name a specific example. I won't give names just to keep anonymity. But I did have like a poster project where the client laid out like pretty much exactly what they wanted. I was sending them like the actual like the shots of the work in progresses of like what they were telling me. And then like we got to a point where like, yeah, awesome, looks great. And I'm looking at it. This is not good.
This is garbage.
This is not fantastic. Don't like this. And I like went back later and did a complete 180 on what I think would have worked. And I didn't even seek their permission about it. I just did it myself. And I was like, here's what I think will look good. As a matter of fact, I have my own little headcanon of what I think it should look like. And it was fine, you know. Those are like my spite projects. I'm like, this is not excellent. This is not a body of work I feel comfortable putting out there. So I'm going to tweak this until I feel satisfied and maybe put it in my portfolio, you know?
Yeah.
Like that happens every now and again. But it's especially great in the FGC, especially like with my scope of work too. A lot of people just like trust me to like get the job done and like just give them something that they are going to be satisfied with. Just because again, a lot of my work just speaks for itself, you know, for sure, which is really lovely. And especially like having those like tough conversations too. It's just like just put out the work that you think is good and the clientele will follow, no problem. You know, you really like do kind of have to carve out your own bubble and your own scene almost. Like my pals and I always make the joke that I'm like a niche internet micro celebrity. Also, like cat.
Hey, oh, the cat wants to come through.
Of course. But we always joke that I'm like a niche internet micro because you kind of can't go 20 space without running into something of mine.
Yeah.
You know? Not on purpose. I kind of have a monopoly. Not on purpose, but I kind of have a monopoly.
Hell yeah.
But just carve out your space and people will follow. They'll come through, you know. Oh, hi, sweet pea. Hello.
Oh, there they are.
There's my sweet girl. But
There's
just
little baby.
Just be willing to just put out what you think is good. People will follow you. And once you get to a point where you think that the pricing is worth it, absolutely do it. Like, if you really are passionate and you want to chase it, just go for it. Just do it. Kat, can you not put your whole butt in the camera?
We couldn't say you're good.
So it's, I don't know. I really feel like, especially with up and coming designers and everything else, especially in the FGC scene, especially like in this just general area, just commit to what you think is good. The life is way too short to be stressing about numbers, clientele, engagement, whatever else. Like, just put it out there and then people will follow, you know?
True. I actually have a question like along those lines when you're talking about like other folks. Like, have you gotten to a point where like you know when a project isn't good for you and you know someone else is? Like, have you had that experience yet where like I know you're reaching out to me and like I would love to take this work, but like I'm not the kind of person that I think would work best for what you're looking for. This is the person that I think works best for you. And have you had that reciprocated yet? Yeah.
Definitely so, as a matter of fact, especially like, you know, just because the FGC is such a different like scope of things that need to be done, whether it's just like promotional work, whether it's merchandise and stuff like that. I even had an example not even a couple days ago where someone was looking for like a shirt design, you know, and I was like, you know, as much as I would love to be able to take on this project, I don't think this is quite my scope of work. Here's an artist. Don't attack me. I'm doing something. Hey. Here's like a couple artists, like here's their scope of work, here's some of their ideas and their work that they've put out that I think could be really excellent for you. Just because kind of to like a side tangent about it a little bit, that's kind of where Street Cat Collective comes from, right? Because it's not just me, it's about all the people that have helped me along my journey, people that are going to help me along my journey, people that I know, other artists, other creatives, stuff like that. I'm all about uplifting my fellow creatives in the space. And so it's just I'm absolutely willing to pass others on to the right people if they need it, no problem. And I've thankfully had some like others that do that for me too. I had an example of like an illustrator pal of mine, like they knew somebody who needed design work and they're like, hey, do you have a slot open? They would love to work with you. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it was a great little partnership. And so like being able to uplift others and then also being uplifted myself is really satisfying. It's really great.
Again, I bring this up too again because like we are such a small scene relatively, and like especially once you get on like those lower levels, like those mid levels, in those mid levels, like a lot of these people interact with each other, work with the same kind of people. You know, not everyone is doing the Evo stuff. Not everyone is doing the Arc World Tour. Not everyone is doing the, you know, freaking, you know, Capcom Cup. And like they have their own stuff. It's everyone else where it's a very, the more you pull up people with you, the better that it gets for everyone else. Like we have to like always keep in mind we are our own support. Our people are our people, and like we have to like bring each other up as much as we can because it's what's most important, right? You know,
Yeah, I mean, even
having
from
that.
like even from competing to something, like this, a more casual, like, being an artist, everything else, it's the same concept, iron sharpens iron. So like
Hmm.
if we're growing alongside each other, then that's all the better.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too, like that like people who start out in a similar space, it's like relying on the people around you is sometimes might be almost as important as the skill that you bring, because the more you talk to people, the more you interact with people, the more you build these relationships outside of like, you know, doing the work for yourself. It leads to those moments that like that, that I had asked about. Do you have the people who can do this particular type of design? Yeah, I know someone who can do this because that's not me. I would love to help you, but this is the person I want to be. You always want to be like someone's like first person I can think of. Oh, this is the person I want to talk to, right? Like right now, in even though she mainly does Smash, like she's done like other FGC photography, like the majority of like the top 100 rank melee players, there's an abnormal amount of them that all have their portraits or their headshots be done by one photographer. All right. And every time she sees a top 100 melee post that has, a portrait or photography or a headshot or whatever that isn't her, she's more excited to see that and tags them every single time.
Mhm.
At Blue Rose Tori, she's on there. So if you've seen her, she also took she also took the famous picture of one of the Bird brothers collapsing to his knees praying after he won Evo. So if you saw that picture, that's hers.
I see.
So at the first Street Fighter 6 Evo, that was hers. That was her picture of like, it's like the knees are right about to hit the stadium floor as he's starting to pray. That really good. I think it's a really great picture of Evo. She took that. But oftentimes she does like promote every single she promotes every single person that isn't her to prove that like that point, like we are so many people and we have to make sure everyone else knows who we are. I can't be the one person everyone turns to because there's so many people who are just as talented, if not more. If you happen to have the one with the cloud and it's like you can bring other people with you, that's what makes it better for the overall environment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, for sure. As if if one person comes up, we're all coming up. That's how it
Yeah,
goes.
exactly. And then you can all set the prices to where you need to, and that way everyone gets paid fairly.
Precisely.
Everyone gets paid
Exactly.
fairly. That's the best
Yes.
way we could do for collective bargaining, since there are no unions within the Smash and FGC.
Precisely. So true.
Oh man, I want to say thank you. I've really enjoyed this. I love like hearing that like it was such a short career that like exploded very quickly. How like you're willing to like talk about like it's a kind of like very condensed career that like can very quickly turn to something so much bigger. And it's like this is still very early into your time here, and I'm glad you're able to get to the point that you're at, and it's so cool to hear that. And there's so many more places you can go, and you've already touched some of those like those high parts of the ceiling, and I think that's really awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I super appreciate you having me on. Like even me, just like sending that random DM to you, be like, hey, I kind of know that you have no idea who I am, but like, I saw you follow me on Twitter, so like, so down.
Yeah, of course.
Just even that was just super great, and like this chat has been super awesome. I love doing stuff like this where I get to just like I get to talk to literally anybody that just isn't my like close little social circle and just my partner, and just get to yap about whatever. It's the best.
Yeah, I know.
This has been a blast. So I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I like again, the main thing that about like having these conversations is like talking to people who have a story that like people would have never like heard in the first place, right? I always harp back to the concept that like 99.9% of the scene are not the top players that you see winning every major tournament. Like not everyone is Arslan Ash. Not everyone is Razo. Not everyone is Nitro. Not everyone is all these people in the scene that we all see that hit the podium every single time. The majority of the scene is everyday regular people, may not even ever compete. They just watch it and they just love the things. There's people that work it. There's people that like are like these unknowns that like if they didn't exist, the scene wouldn't be the way that it is. We kind of like we are our own supports, because like I said, outside of like Capcom Cup and like that Saudi money for City of the Wolves, there's no real money in the FGC. You know what I mean? Like Lord knows there's never going to be another Injustice.
Yeah, so true. And I've even kind of talked about this too. I had put out a tweet ages ago where I was like, you know what? I'm pretty comfortable not being a top player. I feel like I value being a community member just in the FGC in general, just a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like I've hit a greater high being an artist and being a community member than I would have if I would have tried to chase down like being a top player, you know?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm in a better spot that way rather than trying to like, you know, be a serious competitor. I feel like where my art journey has like brought me now, and just by being a community member, I feel like has given me a lot better of an outcome, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone eventually finds their place, right? It's like that one line in Spider-Verse. Well, the mask always fits eventually, right? The costume always fits eventually.
The mask.
Yeah, it'll fit eventually, and that's you just got to find what your fit is, right? Again, I really love this conversation. We're gonna end this the way we normally end it, and I think I like this version a little bit better. But before we do that, is there any people, any places, anything that you wanted to shout out before we move on to the final part of our conversation?
I'm so sorry you cut out one more time.
Oh, my bad. I said, is there any people, things, places you want to follow or whatever, any shout outs that you want to have before we move on to the last part?
Oh, okay. Yes, absolutely. Definitely like my biggest supporters as of late has been the Wild Ride team. Please go compete Mr. Bad Guy's Wild Ride every
Hell
single
yeah.
Sunday. Net play bracket for Guilty Gear. Super, super awesome, folks.
Hell yeah.
Please go show love to a lot of my fellow artists out in the scene. Solemnitas, Scar IFGC, Shoji BT, just folks like that. Please, please, please go show them some love. They're putting out incredible work.
Hell yeah.
Chummy too, incredible work. Please go check them out. They're so awesome. They would love to be able to work with you. Some very close pals. They're near and dear to my heart.
Hooray.
And you know what? Just shout out to the Axel community Discord server. Love those
Hey.
guys. They're the best.
You got those kunais for a reason. The long reach of the kunai for
Got those Kugari summons for a reason.
There you go. Long reach
Also,
for a long shout out.
Cat.
Shout out to the cat.
Shout out to our special guest, my cat.
Oh, all right. So, if you're familiar with it, we like to do a 10 questions at the very end. Can be about FGC, can not, it can be about whatever, as long as it's not out of pocket. You know, you can just ask whatever it is. We're going to do this a slightly different way. It worked out pretty well last time, where it's going to be 10 questions. You ask one, I ask one, and then all the way until we get to our final questions. So, what I want to know before we move on and actually do it, what is it going to be? So that way you either ask a question first or get asked a question first. We are going to flip a coin, and what I want to know is heads or tails.
Let's do tails. Let's do tails.
All right, tails. Flip again, and we get heads. Oh no, you lost. Finally,
just like in any fighting game,
you always losing the coin toss.
I've lost in 50-50. Awesome.
No, God. See, that's all right. So I'm gonna say I've done a lot of question asking. Let's have you ask the very first question.
Oh boy. So just about anything, huh?
FGC, non-FGC, like I said, it could be almost anything as long as it's not out of pocket.
Okay, let's see. I guess we'll start off a little simple here.
Okay.
What has been your highlight of this whole conversation so far? Any standout highlights for you?
I always think it's great to talk about labor, which is pretty funny. So that's been a running thing. Somehow always end up talking about labor and unions in these conversations. The side tangent about some of the geopolitical background, little microscopic geopolitical background things about Puerto Rico is pretty fun to like have some of this knowledge in my head and then like actually talk to someone who has some kind of those experiences. That's pretty cool.
Excellent. Lovely.
Like those are personal things because I have the unfortunate brain rot of politics. It's horrendous for my mental health. You cannot understand the amount of like horrific things that I see on the daily because I'm a politics follower. But yeah, the labor thing and the Puerto Rico stuff was pretty fun, pretty cool.
Awesome.
All right, so let me do my first question here. What's your quintessential Puerto Rican dish to show people?
Oh, okay. Let's see. If you really just like, oh, I would have to say it would probably be arroz con gandules and also some pernil on the side. You know, that would be like it right
That's
there.
the quintessential Puerto Rican dish to you for that one. Yeah,
I feel like it is. I feel like that's it. And maybe like try to introduce them to a malta as well. I know not everybody's about it. I love maltas personally, but not everyone can do earthy taste, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. All right. That's a good. All right, when I find a Puerto Rican restaurant near me, I'll look out for those two things.
Lovely, incredible.
All right, next question.
Oh, okay. this can either be like net play or offline, major, local, like regional, whatever.
Mhm.
What has everyone's got one. What is your favorite FGC set that you've watched?
Ever?
Yeah, we could say ever. Sure, yeah, why not?
That's a good one. Let's see. Punkwin Evo is pretty up there.
Mhm.
Um, Red Ditto winning Arc World Tour is pretty up there too.
Okay.
Um,
If it helps, my personal favorite
mhm.
is Zondo and Rank 13 at Frosty Faustings this year. That set
Mm,
was bonkers. I was out of my chair for a good 80% of that. Rank
yeah,
13 versus Zondo is incredible.
I I think maybe it's hard. If I'm going to go strictly FGC, I think I'm going to choose Red Ditto winning Arc World Tour. And maybe it's the
Nice.
bias because I was there and I saw it happen. Maybe it's the
Fair.
bias. But I think it might be that and possibly knee winning winning Evo in Tekken.
Uh,
But I think I'm gonna slightly edge out Red Ditto winning Arc World Tour.
nice.
That's
All
probably gonna be
right.
my one.
Yeah. And I would say a close second is literally any Hayao. I love that man so much. I love that man. I love Hayao. What a performer. I love that man.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, because strictly FGC, I think it makes it easier saying strictly FGC. So that's definitely gonna be but I get what you mean too, also by like, come on. Like my man, when he did the splits.
I lost it. Lost my mind in that chat room. It was so awesome.
Yo, the Evo moment 38 when
Even moment 38, yeah. The useless button, and it worked out. Yeah.
and it was
amazing.
oh my god, yeah. That's that. Yeah, you know what? I think that one might be pretty up there too. I can't believe I forgot about that. No, but I think
There's a lot to choose from.
there is a lot of good moments. That's the problem. A lot of good moments from a lot of good games. All right. My question number 2. What's been your favorite smartphone that you've owned in your lifetime?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. So there hasn't been many. I think I just upgraded recently, but before my current phone, I had a Samsung S24 Plus, and that thing
Ooh.
was excellent because I'm an Android kid. I do not care for Apple. It's not for me. I do not care for iPhones. But my S20, my
Same.
previous, there you go. Fair enough. My previous Samsung S24 Plus has been my favorite phone for a long
Mm-hmm.
time now.
Would you upgrade to, if I may ask?
Just the S25 Plus.
Okay.
There's very
Okay.
minimal differences, but I don't know.
Okay.
I needed a new phone.
I was gonna say you didn't want to go with the Ultra, so you can still have the wait. Does the Ultra still have the pen?
I wouldn't use it.
Oh, really?
That's the thing.
You're not a pen
I don't
user?
think I'd use it. Nah, I've tried it before with the phone forever ago. Didn't end up using it.
Yeah, when I first got my first Note, because I got the Note 8. Like I was surprised the amount that I was using the pen, and subsequently every Samsung phone that I'd gotten afterwards, the 10 and the 23 Ultra, I couldn't like not have the pen. Getting
Right.
the Flip 6 was the first time I haven't had an S Pen in like 6 years. Is it 5 or 6 years?
Oh,
6 years. I haven't had a phone without an S Pen in 6 years.
wow.
So it's an adjustment, but come on, how can you just
It's cool. It's cool.
how can
I
you
think
not
it's neat.
Oh, I love it. I waited a couple generations before I got it.
Let's see.
All right, question number 3.
I think I will probably already know the answer to this, perhaps, but levered or leverless?
For
Well, just say in general. Just in general. Levered or leverless?
my problem is, I think my question is bifurcated.
Okay.
Because if we're looking at traditional fighters, I only have leverless. So like when I play Tekken, I have my granola. Like when I was trying to play Them's Fighting Herds, my leverless. Anything is leverless. Smash Brothers though, it really depends. I really like playing Terry on leverless, but every other character I play with a GameCube controller.
Okay.
I haven't played too much Melee on leverless, so like I'm not sure where I really do stand on it. So unfortunately, the question is the answer is it depends.
That's A-okay.
Unfortunately, the answer is it depends.
That's A-okay.
All right, my question number 3. Ooh, all right. If you were to create a solution to the melting PS5 problem, what would your mandatory solution be?
Start working with small-time PC companies and upgrade your PC for the love of God. Just get PCs in there. It's, I don't tend to know the logistics of it. I don't know how it would work out for TOs and other organizers. Just get PCs in there.
Just get PCs. You know, it's funny. Switch 2 apparently has better or comparable input latency and faster load times for Guilty Gear.
What on earth?
Yes. And because GP2040 works natively on the Switch, any controller you can plug into the Switch 2 will work automatically without needing a Brook or a Brook Wingman or something. So you can just plug in your controller natively on the Switch 2. Also, Street Fighter 6 works actually incredibly well on the Switch 2. Smash player turned Street Fighter player Riddles bought a Switch 2, and he did a series or he did a couple of streams playing Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2, and he says, yeah, it just feels like it feels like a PS5, like if you get what I mean. The bonus thing is better thermals, and it doesn't melt the USB-C ports or USB ports.
That's true.
So what this means is possibly the best solution is going from PS5 to Switch 2, because then you don't get the melting USB ports. You can do Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, eventually Tekken, because Tekken is rumored to be on Switch 2, and Smash Brothers, all off the same console for your
For Evo Top 8 to be Switch 2. That's gonna be awesome.
That'd be hilarious. That's my solution. That's just me.
That's funny.
BC companies, yeah, that's probably better.
So this one is a thought experiment that me and some like other folks in the community have been thinking about for a while, right?
Okay.
So say you pull average Joe off of the street, right? And you put him in a time loop where he has to beat Sonic Fox in a 1-to-3 set to escape the time loop. How long is it going to take for average Joe to be able to beat him?
What game?
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Let's get crazy and let's say like MKX, like a real Sonic Fox specialty.
Oh, like peak Sonic Fox.
Or if you want to be lenient, we can say like MK1 now, which checking combo breaker, Sonic Fox still won.
Sonic Fox still won, not outrageously dominant, if I remember correctly. Did drop a handful dropped a handful of games from what I remember. I wasn't paying super close attention, but I could have swore they dropped a handful of games. I think it would be the equivalent of probably the equivalent of 3 years.
That's about where a lot of folks would say about 3 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the equivalent of 3 years because I'm thinking about what, and here's my thought process. We're talking, Randy Rando right off the street. If they're playing games, if it ain't got guns or a ball, they're sleeping.
They're screwed. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Right. if it ain't got no guns and ain't got no ball, they're sleeping. Right. That's where the majority of our of gamers are. They're playing COD and they're playing 2K.
Yep.
And Madden. Right. Those are the 3 games they're playing. To get them to get off a mouse and keyboard and pick up, a Victrix, to pick up, a hitbox, and well, to be fair, they're playing on like PS5 controllers. The majority of MK plays on regular pad. For them to get off of that and go to this, it's going to take a really long time to understand what neutral means, understand, what loops can be done. I'm going to say the dedication to that will be the equivalent of 3 years. Because me, who eventually understand neutral, I still go 1-2 at my Smash locals.
That's fair.
Right? And this is just me only kind of trying to play tournament. I'm joining tournament because I feel like going to tournament. I'm not there really to win the local. I'm there to vibe.
To support the local and just
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So the way I see it, if someone's trying real hard to learn, it's going to take them probably about 3 years minimum. Okay. And that's my answer.
I like that. That's cool. I'm gonna have to catch Sonic Fox at a major and be like, "Hey, I have a thought experiment for you."
Well, like there's the equivalent of like that like kind of happens sort of or happened is do you know who Mewtwo King is?
Oh yeah, of course.
So Mewtwo King would give like massive explanations about what's wrong, what you're doing wrong or whatever in Melee. But sometimes when he's not putting a lot of brain power into it, he will have someone ask, "Hey, what can we play some friendlies? I want to learn." And you'll just get beat down by him for an hour or two. And it feels like you learned nothing. And then without fail, they always say, and the next set I did amazing and beat my bracket demon, or I went positive, or whatever. And this is kind of like in peak era of Five Gods of Melee era that people are getting these experiences. But I'm going to say, as dominant as they were in the Five Gods era, Sonic Fox is in another league of gaming. Being able to stretch out those sets, way different.
Yeah.
In any traditional fighters versus a platform fighter. So that's why I'm thinking 3 years.
Fair enough.
Minimum.
I mean, I've always talked about too, like, we are so lucky that Sonic Fox doesn't fuck with Guilty Gear like that, because we would be screwed if they were competing.
They ended up having to tie number 1 for the power rankings because Goichi and Sonic Fox were so incredibly dominant. And Goichi comes from anime fighters background, right? Goichi comes from that background. Sonic Fox picked it up for the sake of picking it up. So that's what I'm saying. At least from what I remember, Sonic Fox didn't do too well in Guilty Gear. No, my understanding was.
Well, I remember from the last time that they, like, the major competition that I'm thinking of was Evo Online, right? Like,
yeah, they got second. Yeah, they got second, and like, bruh, like Sonic Fox was a menace, especially the way they were painting the story of like what Sonic Fox was, because Sonic Fox does have like this crazy fighting game ability to China just like pick up a game and do extremely well in it. Like the switch from like Injustice to Mortal Kombat isn't like that different because it's very, very much the same game mechanics, just different kind of characters.
It's still NRS.
Yeah, exactly. Though there are no trash cans.
That Sajam video about Injustice 1, insane.
This is a game we played for money.
This is a real game you played for money.
Just like Brawl. Somehow that was a real game people played for money. Yeah, no. I think with that, like Sonic Fox was a bit of a terror online for that, and I think that was coming from being so good at fighters, and I think that's what really helped them out with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my question number 4. Ooh, so there's this thing, right? And I've come to learn it's with a whole Skullgirl's background. Yeah, that might also be the reason. Skullgirls might be that other reason why Sonic Fox was an absolute menace. Skullgirls. There's this thought. There's this idea that that men in trans masks always want to have a rig of some kind.
Okay.
Like, do you know like barbecue guys, like people who are really into their barbecues? Yeah. Or like car guys who are really into their cars, or like PC builders who are really into their PCs, right? Like we see it in the FGC. People really want to go crazy with their sticks. So, what kind of rig person do you hate the most?
Oh, well, this is easy. This is so easy. Fucking truck guys. If you're a truck guy on your big ass wheels, you know what? If you were a big truck guy on your big ass lifted stupid wheels above my car, your dick is small. Fuck you. I fucking oh my god. Or the like everyone's like, oh, it's Cybertruck. If you have a Cybertruck, you can kiss my ass. I hate you.
Oh.
Fucking lifted truck guys. They piss me off. Because they're so self-righteous about it. And they're always like, usually like military dudes. Like ass because they're in the military.
Not even a lot of them
God,
were like also is like, yeah, I thought about joining the military.
Like, like if you're just like a blue collar worker and you just need a truck to get around, awesome, you're cool, not an issue. But if you're like obnoxious about your stupid truck and your lifted wheel, I hate you so much.
Oh yeah, I was like, let's see what rig guy are you against? Because the other silly one is guys who have incredibly intricate vapes, and I think that's silly.
So
I think it's more silly than anything, but to be fair,
I always steal the joke from Heavenly Father, where he's like, "Yeah, nice job, stick in front of me." So yeah, intricate vapes are also really dumb.
Yep. All right, question number 5. Your turn.
Yes. Okay. So is it like 10 questions total, 5 for each of us, right?
Each.
I think. Okay.
10 each.
Oh, I see.
So halfway point.
I might be running out of questions. Not gonna lie. Oh goodness. You know what? We'll go with an all-time classic. Can you please stop treating my cables? That'd be awesome. Road trip, gas station, stopping for sustenance. What are you getting? What's the go-to?
Okay, so here's my list. My list is if I didn't have water already, 1 bottle of water for me. So a water, a Gatorade, and an energy drink.
Nice.
Energy drink, usually Monster, maybe something that's on sale. I'm not against, a Ghost or a G Fuel or whatever. Some type of energy drink. So that would be beverage.
Okay.
For snack foods, also obviously you need to get some kind of jerky. Mm-hmm. So definitely need to get like I'm a big fan of teriyaki jerky. So a teriyaki jerky, so like a Jack Links or whatever teriyaki jerky. Specifically the nuggets. The jerky nuggets. Then for like something crispy and salty, definitely going to be for the chips. I'm partial to hot fries. Those usually been my go-tos, but sometimes it would be like the hot Ruffles, because like flaming hot Ruffles, whether it be like the sour cream or barbecue. If they have the barbecue, that's what I'm going to go with. So the list is so far: water, Gatorade, Monster, nugget, teriyaki jerky, and hot fries. And then the final thing to end it, if I have to get a hot food, I think that depends what the gas station is. More likely than not, it's not going to be a 7-Eleven, because if it was a 7-Eleven, there's a big variety of things. If it's just like your average gas station that has some type of hot thing, it's probably some kind of hot dog on there. And I think I will forego having a hot food.
Fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and a candy just to eat before. Probably a payday.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Incredible.
The only reason I won't go with like a Reese's or a chocolate is because it would probably melt for too quickly. Yeah. My question number 5. If you could bring 2 new FGC characters into the next Smash Brothers game, and they have to be they have to be the best representative of that game.
Mhm.
Which 2 characters are they, and what games are they from?
That's a good one. Okay. Well, I feel like one of the obvious answers is that Mr. Gear himself, Mr. Soul Bad Guy. Obviously.
Soul Bad Guy. Okay.
You gotta. I feel
Yeah.
like you just have to. That's necessary.
Okay.
I don't want to go the easy route and say Ragna because that's too easy. Hmm. You know, I think actually. Oh man, actually, I think it would be really awesome to see Fulgore Killer Instinct. I think Fulgore from Killer Instinct.
Nice. So we're gonna get Guilty Gear and Killer Instinct, and I think that's that. I like those answers. I like those answers.
If I wanted to be like a little less like face of the game, honestly,
Yeah.
I think like TJ Combo from Killer Instinct would be really awesome too, just based on his kit. And I would really also love to see, like, we already had Kazuya, but I think King would be really awesome. So I don't know. Maybe
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's my thoughts exactly too.
I think it's sick, so.
Very likely though, if we get another Tekken representative, it's probably going to be Jin. If we ever do get another Tekken representative in Smash Brothers, it'd probably be Jin.
Yeah.
Be not necessarily an Echo Fighter, but very close. Kind of how like Ken and Ryu play similar, but what they look for in their kill setups and their kill moves are way different. Like the number one kill setup for Ken is input Shoryu, whereas for Ryu you can do input Shoryu or Tatsu. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. You get more combos out of Ken, but you also get more shield break out of Ryu. So, and his smash attacks are much more effective. So I feel like it would be kind of like that, having Kazuya and Jin, like they can have some of the similar, like with their electrics and a lot of their normals, but I think they'll play slightly differently. And that's how I would see it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. Question number 6.
Yes. Okay. I guess this can also count as like 1.5 / like double question.
We'll count it as the one.
So, you know what? Yeah, since we're talking about Street Fighter anyway, if you were to pick one pro to teach you Street Fighter 6, who would it be? Like Daigo, Goichi, Itabashi Zangief, Balaz, like any of these names.
And we're talking Street Fighter, right?
Yep, Street Fighter 6 specifically.
Mena. I think Mena.
On the Luke or the Blanca?
Honestly, on the Blanca, because I like the idea of a silly character. I like the idea of a silly character, right? Because like I don't play Street Fighter, but like I think the playing the Blanca would definitely be my my jam. I would like to play Zangief, because I feel like I think I've come to the realization that like in traditional fighters, I like the idea of grapplers more than anything. But my silliness gauge for wanting to play Blanca is probably the reason why I would go with Blanca.
Love that. Amazing.
I'll pick up the Luke on the side, but I'd want to do the Blanca. Have Mena teach me the Blanca.
Awesome.
All right. I asked a similar question to the folks at Graham. If you had a chance to do a mainstream brand, company, whatever, RP's campaign, whatever that happens to be, what would that mainstream brand collaboration be, and what would be the product? Or campaign, whatever.
That's a very excellent question, as a matter of fact. What counts as mainstream, I guess?
I mean, what's the, like, I think they went with IKEA, and what's the name of that one? Is it Teenage Engineering that does the little like MIDI boards where like they're like little sample boards and stuff like that? Have you seen those before?
I think so.
They look like little samplers, but like they're literally like that big. And like, and you can do dials, and you can use it as like a sound pad, and like you can make crazy ass sounding beats out of it. So
interesting.
Yeah. So higher, like highest level to like mid-level mainstream brands.
I guess it's not technically like more like a mainstream like brand, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But if I'm like absolutely like shooting for the stars here, speaking back on being a scene kid, I would love to do a tour poster for Green Day.
I like that.
Poster for Green Day.
I like that. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. What are you talking about? Do you know how much name recognition Green Day has? What are you talking about? They're a brand unto themselves.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And they were if people don't know, like Green Day has been in the trenches for I think 35 years now. Like I think they got together in like 88 or 8 or 9 or something like that. And like they almost got kicked off of off of a MTV like sponsored tour because they wanted it was like some queer punk band that they wanted to have as their supporting artist, and they're like, no, we're not going to allow that. And like, no, well, I guess you're not getting Green Day, aren't you? So they've been in the trenches. They've been in the trenches for a long time. For those that don't know. All right. Ooh, all right.
Okay.
All right.
So what are we at? Number 7 now, I think it is.
Yes, we're on number 7.
Understood. Okay, we'll do a little bit of a classic as well. Any concert, any artist, alive or dead. What is it?
Ooh.
Mine is easy. It is Queen's 1985 Live Aid concert.
That's pretty good. I'm trying to think what would be. I would hate to actually be there, but for some reason, the very last Gigi Allen performance is coming to mind. I don't want to be there. I don't know why that came to mind though, because like I don't want fecal matter to be thrown at me. Like he had diarrhea everywhere. So I don't know if that's my real answer, or if for some reason my morbid curiosity hit, because that was crazy. Because before that concert shut down, he was actually supposed to kill himself on stage, which I think he was probably going to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, G.G. Allen's insane. That was actually his second attempt. The first time it was like a drug overdose, and like he ended up like dancing. They ended up like saving him, and he was kind of upset about it. From what I understand, from the stuff that I've read. But yeah, no, I don't want it to be G.G. Allen, but I don't know why G.G. Allen is the one that's coming to mind. I think, man, I think probably an actually good one that I would want to see would be Aquabats, when Travis Barker ended up taking over for drums for the one show.
Interesting cut.
Because knowing that he learned all of their set list hours before they actually played, and they only had the rehearsal, and he knocked it out of the park. I want to go just because I know the lore of that particular show. I think that's why I would want to would want to do that.
Stellar. Awesome.
And a close second would probably be the last concert that either Adan Chalino Sanchez or Chalino Sanchez did, because that's insane work. Do you know the stories of Adan Sanchez and Adan Chalino Sanchez?
I think so. That rings a bell.
So Chalino Sanchez was a corrido artist, and like the reason why his last one was so well known, he received the note that he was going to be murdered.
Yes.
On camera.
Oh, yes, that guy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know exactly. That's Chalino Sanchez. Like the footage of him, the footage of him reading it, and like you could see like the life starting to leave his eyes and the nerves to take over, and then he hits the note like nothing happened. Mm-hmm. He eventually gets murdered there. Mm-hmm. That's right. He had a son, Adan Sanchez. And people call him Adan Chalino. Mm-hmm. He was huge out here in LA. And he was about to go on a major tour throughout Mexico. And he did one more show in LA. And it was a huge thing. I want to say it was like a 3.5 hour long concert where it was he doing all of his songs and doing a bunch of songs from his dad. And that was the last concert he did, because when he hit the road in Mexico, the car lost control and he died in a car accident.
Wow.
His body got back to the US, and it was rumored that he died on the same road his dad was murdered.
That's crazy. Yeah.
The funeral afterward was insane, because despite the fact like LA is a very, has a huge Latino population, especially then, a lot of white cops, a lot of white people running LA government. They had no idea who the fuck this kid was. They didn't understand, and the funeral almost turned into a riot, the public funeral, because they did not anticipate the amount of people who were going to show up for his funeral.
Wow.
Yeah. So seeing those two are huge runner-ups for that.
Honestly, like based on that as well, with like Latin artists, Selena's last performance.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
definitely
but
Selena.
Yeah, I bet those guys still have the bumper somewhere. All right. You know what? I ask this question all the time, and I take it from another podcast I listen to called "The Goods from the Woods." It's one of my favorite questions to ask. Favorite thing from your childhood that isn't there anymore? like where you grew up, like a particular store or whatever.
Oof. Woof. Oh goodness. Actually, back in Florida where I used to live, for a handful of years, and I early, like preteens and stuff like that. Um, my parents and I used to live in a trailer, as a matter of fact, it's like
Hmm.
on a street. Um, that trailer doesn't exist anymore. It got demolished a handful of years back to make way for other housing. And like I saw the lot, the empty lot after it was demolished. And it was just a weird, like shell shock almost of like those years. Don't chew on my cables. What did I say? Those years of like memory technically just gone. You
That's
know, it's
crazy.
it's just it's weird. It's very weird. It's very odd.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I think that would be mine. Yeah.
The whole ass street is gone. That's crazy.
Yep. Because they took down all the trailers to make way for new housing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Whew.
Okay. So
Question number
kind
8.
kind of harking back. Sweet Pea, you're really being a menace right now. You know that? Get out of here. Go on. Kind of harking back to our time loop thought experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say you got pulled into this.
Oh God.
What would you prefer? To have to beat Sonic Fox at MKX or beat Justin Wong at Marvel 2? It's a real thinker.
Because I'm trying to think what game I think I understand better,
Mhm.
given all things considered. I think I think I'd get out of the loop faster against Sonic Fox than I would against Justin Wong. And my reasoning is I understand mashing buttons when there's dedicated buttons to mash.
Fair.
Compared to having to create whole cloth strings and combos when it's extremely free flowing in a way in order to create your infinites in versus like in Marvel.
Right.
Like Marvel's kind of like the Melee of fighting games in that regard. Because it's like it's so freeform, you can do whatever you want and you can do all kinds of crazy shit. But like if you don't have the concepts for some of the basic of the tech skills, you'll never get to that point. Like not everyone can pick up, Melee Fox and be Cody Schwab. Right? You know what I mean? That ain't happening. I'm not saying that freaking Justin Wong is a less of a gamer than Sonic Fox. I'm just saying that like I think my brain would understand dedicated buttons and dedicated input buttons of MK over trying to do that with Marvel.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that's where mine is, or my mind is at.
I like that.
All right.
Cool.
I'm going to take your question and I'm going to flip it to Smash Brothers.
Okay.
Peak Five Gods era Smash Brothers. The only way you can get out of living the same year over and over again. How many years would it take for you to defeat the Five Gods?
Oh goodness, that would.
Keep in mind, I think there's only been two people. There's only been two people who were able to defeat all five gods.
Wow, I think that's. Hmm. Let's see.
And keep in mind, you're living the same year again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Come on, that's crazy. I don't know. I think that would genuinely be like almost close to a decade. Maybe. Just because I don't know anything about like Melee at all. I mean, Leffen did it. If Leffen can do it, I can sure as hell figure. I like the guy. I think he's cool, but like Leffen got it, so it'll take me a long fucking time, but I'll figure it out.
Because like I'm saying, there's only been, if I remember correctly, there's only Leffen and Plup to have beaten all of the five gods in their prime. There's not too many people who have.
Yeah, not many can claim that. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you think a decade?
I think so.
You would live the same year for a decade in order to defeat the five gods?
Yeah, probably.
All right. I see that. I can see that.
Yeah, probably.
Question number 9.
Oh, goodness. I'm running out of questions. Wow. Okay. How familiar are you with Tekken?
Enough.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, actually, no. I have an entirely different question.
All right.
Would you prefer? Okay, so if you had to go to like a classic, like FGC arcade, right? And let me just make sure I'm thinking of the right one. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The one in New York?
And this not quite. Would you rather go to like peak Green Arcade in Korea, right? Or like peak like Chinatown Fair? Or like Long Island Joe and like the others like came up, you know?
That's the one. Yeah, 100%. Mm. The reason why is I would get that like feeling of like, yo, this is just like going to an abandoned steel mill just to go see Star Fucking Hipster and Leftover Crack Sets.
Amazing.
It's the same kind of deal. It's like, hey, yo, we broke into this abandoned house and we turned on the power so we can play in the living. We can see our local band play in someone's old living room.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I like that dirty degenerate like idea because I can come from a punk background. So definitely that.
Excellent. I like that.
All right. Ooh, okay. So I'm speaking out of turn for this one because I don't know very many drag queens. Right.
Fair.
The only drag queen I really know, and is the basis for this question in the first place, is Bitch Puddin'. Do you know Bitch Puddin'?
Okay. Yes, I've heard the name for sure.
So Bitch Puddin' was on this podcast I listened to a long time ago called New Player Has Joined. And the point of that is you bring up one of your favorite video games. And Bitch Puddin', I believe, brought up Tekken 2 or something like that, or some fighting game. I don't remember exactly which one, but has deep fighting game knowledge and started doing drag by doing cosplay of all these female characters from fighting games, and which eventually led to Bitch Puddin's career. Also, Bitch Puddin ended up being in a video, Flight Quest with J-Mook and Kadoran. So there's a video of that floating around somewhere. With the theming of how Bitch Puddin got their start, if you were to do drag in the same vein of FGC characters, what would your drag stage name be?
That's
and if you can't think of a name, what would be the signature drag?
Yeah,
or both if you have it.
I'm no good at names, so I'll at least do
the signature drag.
Oh, man. Oh, that's such an interesting one. That's so interesting. You know, if I that's wow. That's a real thinker. You know, actually, if I because I just love that like early 2000s just like girly pop kind of vibe, I would say specifically Tekken 5 specifically.
All right.
The jeans, all the bedazzling on the side and everything.
Yeah.
It's specifically Tekken 5 Lily. A close second would probably be Felicia from what is it? From
Darkstalkers.
Vampire. Yeah,
Yeah.
If I really wanted to get like a little crazy, like a little risque, Felicia from Darkstalkers.
You know what?
But specifically Tekken 5 Lily.
Tekken 5 Lily would be a great signature drag. Oh, all right. Last question.
Wow. Okay. Last question. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. I'm really trying to think about this one and make it like a solid.
Well, Mike from Granola, he was like, well, I knew this was coming, so I wrote down 10 questions in advance.
Amazing.
He's the only one who does that.
Better prepared than me, that's for sure.
Yep.
Let's see. Ugh. You know, actually, I'm gonna just continue. Like you've kind of answered this a little bit already. I want to like go a little bit more deep in about it, and I'll appeal to you, more your story and you specifically.
Sure.
What keeps you doing this show?
There's a lot of people to talk to. There's a lot of people to talk to. There's a lot of people who have a story. You know, there's a whole lot of people who are who are in some way major part of the history of like Smash and FGC, and like you'll never know who they are, right? The idea is like everyone has a story, and it's important to hear what everyone's story happens to be. Like, you know, Sonic Fox's life is going to be very well documented. You know, Punk's life is going to be very well documented. You know, he'll always have a platform where he can talk about his life. You know, he was literally on a podcast a couple months ago where Punk talked about, dropping out of high school because he thought he could do it. And he's like, he doesn't recommend anyone do that, but he still talked about his life, right? Noah the Prodigy, he'll be featured on whatever, freaking Goichi will have his story be told in some way, shape, or form. All these people, who have been here for decades will have their stories be told because they're on the top. They're the faces that everyone knows and wants to know about, right? Kids these days may not know L.I. Joe, but he's been here for decades, and his story is documented everywhere. Not everyone's going to know the story of Granola Arcade. Not everyone is going to know, the story of Momo on the mic. Not everyone's going to know the story of Graham. Like, all these people have like presence throughout the scenes, and it's important to know their story. Like, and for some instances, like Momo specifically, he's Palestinian, so having the story of a Palestinian be told and have he be talk about the ongoing genocide that's happening, and how the very nature of his existence is extremely polarizing, political, and things have changed drastically even then of like the view of Palestinians. So like the conversation that I could have had then, or that I had then, is different than if I started having that conversation now. Back when they were going by Gwen, Dr. No, she told the story of like, coming out as trans, and like how she initially chose the name of Gwen, and the surrounding people who gave her all the love and the support that she needed when her family didn't give it to her. All these little things of people who have these presences within their scene that like are very important to people, matter. They all matter just as much as, like I said, Sonic Fox and all these players that everyone knows. So as long as I think there's someone who has a fun story to tell, an interesting story to tell, how fast they blew up, how long they've been doing it, an interesting project that they own or work on, I want to know about it. I want to learn. Everyone has these stories that they deserve to be told.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often I answer this question.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but it bears repeating. All of these stories are just as important to answer and be told.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, my last question. Do I make it very introspective? Do I make it very silly? This is the thing I struggle with every single time.
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay, I think I have it. Do you attribute the FGC with you being able to express and show the world the person that you become? And do you think you would have been able to become the person that you are now without it as early as you did in your life?
I genuinely think that the FGC has really like helped me express myself quite a lot, as a matter of fact. Like before, So to give a little background, like I've talked about this a little bit here recently, stuff. But I've started using Calico as my given name, just like out like in like the everyday. As my chosen name, just like out like everyday life. I'm using the good old coffee shop method and all of that good stuff. And I've been really liking it. I feel like it encapsulates a lot of just who I am now. My like just who I am as a person, my interests, like my essentially just my everything. And the FGC has really just like let me do that because I just got so used to like, Calico was just a silly little that was cat themed for a while. But I got so used to everybody just like associating that like with me. And I'm like, yeah, I think that really works. Um and it's been kind of a little bit of a blessing because like know me face, they know what I look like. But it's also like 75% of the people in the FGC, I'm just a cat. That's all they know me as. So, that's just really excellent too. Especially coming from like a Hispanic family where it's a lot of just like don't ask, don't tell. They know that I'm a queer individual. They know that they just we don't talk about it. Like it's just a truth that isn't brought up ever,
Hmm.
you know. And it can be really tough to have to like live with that. Like my partner is transgender and they misgender him constantly, and that's just a tough break to have to deal with. And so having this space like the FGC where I can really well and truly just like be myself, experiment with being myself has been a really huge thing for me. And I don't think that I would be in the place that I am right now without it for sure. And I'm so immensely grateful to everybody who's even had a mini conversation with me along the way.
Hmm.
So I'm immensely grateful to this community for sure.
I'm glad. There's no amount of, no amount of the folks from the Mana Monthly and freaking folks like Mech and freaking Furby and YC. No amount of those motherfuckers are going to be allowed to overturn a place that allows people to understand who they really are and who they were meant to be. No matter what, we'll make sure that, because like I've said this in some instances, and before if you can't respect someone by going by they them, I'm going to turn them into was were.
Incredible. I gotta turn your pronouns into was were. Incredible. Love that. Iconic. Yes, as you should. Punch transphobes in the face. It's how it goes.
Just saying.
Amazing. I love
Someone will do it. That's all I'm saying.
It'll happen. Someone will do it.
It will happen. Oh, thank you so much. It's been a time. I had a really good time in this conversation. We touched on a lot of fun things.
Yeah, this was a joy.
And if you end up having new ventures around the world, you can tell people, hey, look, this is kind of like a brief little summary of what I went through. And now it's documented on here forever, as long as YouTube will host this video still. Going forward. Is there any like final goodbyes, any last thing, any last people you want to shout out before we call it and we end the stream and we end this call?
Well, let's see. I mean, you can already kind of find my links below. Calico's Place on Twitter and Blue Sky. That's mostly where I stuff. Mostly where you can reach me. You can basically find me in almost any Guilty Gear. I'm around, pretty much. Honestly, just like last little shout outs, just again, go follow my artist homies, Chummy, Solomidis, Shoji VT, Gara FGC, super lovely people. Thank you for the Wild Ride team for helping me out, such like great pals these last few months. Big shout out to my mentor and close personal friend, Kiat Husky, big SoulCal gamer. Love that guy so much. Um, he's been a huge boon in helping me learn Axel. Not that I am without that man. Yeah, I don't know. Just thanks to everybody for just listening. I know a lot of my pals are in the chat right now having me background noise. I appreciate that. So just thanks for listening, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to just talk and just tell everybody a little bit about myself.
Hooray! Well, with that, we're going to sign you off. Start waving as you say goodbye. Keep waving, keep waving. Goodbye. 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 We did it, chat. We're here. It's been amazing. I loved the conversation we had. It was awesome. It was great to hear from artists. It's great to hear them and having them have their story be told. Thank you for hanging around. If you've been here the entire time, you're awesome. Like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. We're gonna have something planned hopefully for the next month. We usually do these monthly. If you were here and you are trying to support, Calico, go ahead, follow them on socials if you haven't already. Retweet all their artwork. And yeah, if you need a space where you want to listen to some fun background noise while having an intense conversation like this is the place to do it. I'm gonna leave it for now. It's getting pretty late for me, and I'm sure it is for you. So I'm gonna make my go, and I'll leave you to it. Let's. Oh, you were labbing Geo. Well, you could always have me for labbing sounds as well. With that, I'm heading out. Y'all enjoy. Thank you for being here, Calico. It was great. Love it. We'll be seeing y'all for the next one. Catch you on the next one. Later.